Not
Listen,
answering
I don't
that.
care. I'm
Not
going all in.
answering that.
22. No.
Really?
18.
23? Is it 23 or 22?
Okay, people in chat, guess. Type a number in the chat. I won't get offended, I promise.
Let me go back to your chat now. Hold on.
I want to
toss
see
it
what
in
people
there.
guess.
Yeah,
It's like
post under
fucking
red 5.
blank.
Unless you
Like
finish
it,
red at 18, I don't know. I'm getting
I think
22.
your chat is too woke to like answer.
Dude, don't
There
be
we go.
woke. I told you guys I'm. All right, the Instagram.
Pretty
If
brave
nobody
of you,
else
man.
knows. Oh man.
I would say about 30, to be honest with you. 30 on a dot.
30 on the dot?
Really?
What the
Bruh.
fuck?
Bruh.
I'm 29.
All right, well there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
close.
There you go.
See,
Some honest
the reason
answers out
how
here.
I mean, honestly, the problem is that I think you kind of grew up watching Timmy Turner and the Fairly Odd Parents. So if that resonated with you a little bit, then there you go.
I did not grow up watching that. I saw it on the side, but I watched SpongeBob.
Dude, I grew up watching that.
Oh,
and I'm
so
19. It's a good frame of reference.
so wait a minute. So what made you into like the way you are today then? Because you watch with like soft
What's up,
soft
Sammy?
stuff. So what happened then? Like just give me some context here.
You think SpongeBob is soft?
What?
I mean, okay. There's one episode wherein, like, SpongeBob and Patrick was talking about adding a little bit of like salt and pepper to the words. Give me that effing dolphin and stuff like that. But other than that, SpongeBob is soft, man. Come on, Winnie Hut Jr.
If you pay attention, it
So
really,
wait, you're saying
really is.
I watched I am Powerpuff's Girl age for sure, and I saw Dexter's Lab as well. Imposter,
yeah.
how old are you? Anyways, what was I saying? Right. What do you mean? Are you saying that SpongeBob is soft, and you're saying that I'm not soft enough? Are you saying that I'm hard? What are you saying about me?
What I'm saying is just you're very direct, so I'm trying to wonder. I mean, look, you're a feminist, okay? You understand what I'm gonna go with here.
Oh, no.
But
Buddy. Not how you start a sentence, but go ahead.
What a weird thing to say.
well, I mean, yeah, what a weird thing to say, right? But look, what I'm trying to say here is most folks that you would communicate with don't really, they tend to beat around the bush or not really. They don't tend
Like
to be
he's straight.
very direct. Yeah, you're straight. I like that. There's no bullshit here. So that's why I'm saying that you might have grown up watching similar cartoons or similar things as most of us. And the whole fucking point was lost here anyway.
Off-topic question.
It's because I'm nasty woke, bro.
Yeah, there you go. Kim Jong Rodman right there. Thank you for that. And sadistic psycho, tough like a wet napkin.
You guys are so mean, okay? I am tough, okay? I can cuss somebody out. I have done it before, and I can debate people.
And then immediately
well, okay?
apologized.
Look, pretty okay, all right? I can debate people okay, so. I'm a debate thought, okay?
I mean, I like that too. You take it's two people debate a fucking idea. What's left in the end, right? Some fucking solid shit. So there you go.
If you can debate Destiny without crying afterwards, then you've reached debate thought / debate lord level.
Ooh, that's true. That's real true. That's facts.
I don't think I've debated him. Usually we line up pretty much on a lot of things. I think he's really bad at optics sometimes. So.
Yeah, he really is. But 2021 Destiny said he's going to be better at rhetoric. That's the song.
Yeah, I think that's my main thing with him is like, I agree with a lot of the stuff that he says, but god damn, that dude is so fucking bad at optics sometimes.
He's in the rhetoric arc now. Whole new arc.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Stardust, sorry to take it back just real quick. The thing that she said that made me resonate and be like, oh, I should try to connect you two. She said she was specifically worried about talking to other people because of being afraid to sound dumb. So there's your background.
Oh. Yeah, so that's just going to come with age. Hello, Octavian, by the way. That's just going to come with age when you are younger, I definitely couldn't have. When I was younger and I was on Twitch, I did music stuff, and that's only because I knew that stuff. I think when you're a female, you're kind of discouraged from saying anything unless you actually know the thing, like in and out. And men in general aren't really socialized that way to know things in and out. So you just kind of have to like, I don't know, you have to get over that kind of, and like, this is weird. Men are just socialized so differently from females. Because for us, we think like, oh, I just don't know it, I'm just not going to talk about it. And dudes just talk about shit without ever knowing it, So yeah.
Yeah, man. We tend to jump right in and feign intelligence until we get called out on our bullshit. Whereas girls tend to be a little bit more conservative.
I was about to like come in and with my anecdote, like, no, I haven't felt that way, and I'm a young person. And like she's like, but men, I'm like, oh no, this is why.
Well, I think as girls as well, when you're younger, you're more likely to be even more so like withdrawn as far as like throwing in your opinion, because also you're socialized that like, I don't have too strong of an opinion, otherwise nobody's gonna like you. Yeah, so you have to kind of like, with time, females get over that, but it's still a thing we all struggle with. So
True.
My wife said amen to that.
Aw. I like to watch your live streams.
And a
Do
woman.
you still play piano? Wait, what? Do you still play piano off stream? Yeah, I do. I still do some stuff off stream. Yeah. Just haven't really figured out this setup yet. So, anyways, Octavian, what's up? What did you want to talk about? We were talking about media shit, So.
Yeah, man. But let's take a break from that. Octavian, just give us some random shit, bro. Give us some wrinkles, man. What's going on?
Do you want to talk about relevant Twitch drama? Do you want to talk about like random like politics? Like what's the top? What's like the generic?
Well, why did you join here in the first place? Tell me why you joined here.
Destiny, and I think you're inadequate to talk to him. Obviously, you never have asked him the butt question, so therefore you're too much of like you're backing off too much because you still, to my knowledge, haven't asked the butt question to anybody important. So.
Wait, what? Asked a question to anybody?
So you haven't asked the question, okay? And if you don't, you know what question I'm talking about. We talked about this
before.
Are you?
We talked about this before,
okay? And it's very imperative that you
the
ask
the butthole question, dude?
Yes, the butthole question. Yes.
Okay, look.
Extremely important. Okay?
Look, Octavian, I have to maintain some level of normalcy before I start unloading people. Yes, I do. Though I have introduced him to the idea of butthole portals. So don't tell anybody though.
Wait, what?
I have introduced.
This is way too hard of a meme. I don't know.
What's up, level?
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I have introduced. I have introduced him to the ideas of wormholes in your butt. Anyways.
It's extremely important to know this when you're debating people on Twitch politics, because if you don't, you're gonna get really destroyed.
Here's the scenario, guys. Okay, you have somebody's been blocked and reported. Kim Jong Rodman. No, dude. Okay, look. Here is the scenario. I'm sorry, Clearest. Yeah, I'm sorry that you have to listen to this again.
Hold the fuck up, man. This is serious.
This is par for the course.
This is serious. Okay.
Not a laughing matter. Go ahead.
This is not a laughing matter. Okay.
All right, no laughing matter. This is serious. Dead serious.
You have a butt, all right? Not you. Somebody, a man. Okay, just a second. Let me think about this. Okay. What? Okay, let's say that somebody has a butthole, right? But they have a wormhole, magical wormhole in that butt, right? And inside that wormhole, it takes you to a dimension where there's like ample land to farm on, right? God, I'm probably gonna lose viewers from this. This is all your fault, Octavian, by the way.
This is what I came here for, okay?
Okay,
and
look.
I feel like it's extremely important.
Shut up, okay? Shut up, okay? I hate you. Okay, so it takes you to this land with ample lands to farm on, right? Now somebody goes into that butthole, right? and they
Windows
work for
Tower
30 years and they
Toys,
build a
not.
farm and they sell those crops.
If it was capitalized,
right?
I would assume it was a band.
Do
Sam,
you,
I feel
as a
like I'm
person with
baiting you.
butthole
I
that
don't
has a
know, just
wormhole in
like
it,
a slur that
are you
I
entitled to
use.
some share of those crops in there?
Sorry,
Or are the crops, do the crops belong to the guy
one sec.
who
So I used like a autoban bot in Streamlabs, so it should have pretty much everything covered, I think. So I just want to make sure that the enabling worked because I don't have like a way to like there's no sync test or whatever feature for that bot specifically that I know of anyway.
Or is that dimension completely encompassed within your gut?
it's encompassed within your butthole.
I see. Well, in that case, we could make kind of the
Foxo
capitalist
Chan,
argument.
wait, do you blow your load when they harvest? Well, at first you don't realize it for like the first 10 years, but then when they do harvest, like after that, every season they harvest, you start like just blowing your load. Okay, sorry, go back to what were you
Does
saying?
it come out like
Wait.
torrential
No,
come out,
this
or
is
what is
revolutionary
that?
information. So technically, you are gaining the profits. It's through the harvests. If you think about it.
In a way, but you're not gaining the monetary.
Sure,
You know.
but okay, if we were to make the business argument, technically, as a landowner, you would be entitled to some portion of the profits, though not entirely, because the worker, unless we're doing slave labor, has to get a portion of that too. So I don't know. Depends on your economic view, I guess.
Okay.
Are you
okay, so my
Levelhead?
answer
Are
to
you
that,
getting on your
now
Discord
I have a
later?
clarifying question to ask first.
Uh-huh.
All right, so my question would be somewhere along the lines
Bye,
of
Kim Jong Rodman. Thank you for sticking with me. I love you. Please don't leave me. Please don't unfollow me. Please. Oh my God, please don't. Okay. I love you. Don't ever leave me. I have abandonment issues. Sorry. Continue.
All right, so listen, I mean, I guess my question here is that if in this magical portal that's in your butthole leads you to another dimension, or we clarify the fact that it is in fact intact with your system, correct? Or
Yes.
with a body, correct?
It is a
Okay.
different dimension encompassed within your butthole. Okay.
But okay, so then
Can
my
you-
clarifying question here was there any sort of agreement
Can you
between
send me a
landlord
link
and
to it?
owner that cultivated, or
Because
or
right
the
now
farmer
I'm
that
using
cultivated
a window
these
splitter on my
crops?
second
Was there a
monitor,
No.
and it-
For the
it's like-
first
it's
10
like
years, you
LG's
actually
built-in
aren't
window
even
splitter,
aware that the
and
guy
it's
is in there farming your
completely
butthole.
horrible. So unless I don't know if you can see
They're
my screen very
trespassing,
well, but
technically,
unless it's
if you
one of
think about
these
it.
ones and you
Yeah.
can
Just
So-
I would
Scroll.
love to download that and like.
So
utilize
I
it
mean,
for
as
my-
long as you're not existently
Power Tool,
aware
okay.
of this, exchange going on in your, magical butthole, I think that you should not be entitled to shit. I mean, if you don't even know what's going on in
You
your,
think people should be
you know-
frauded, Sam? That's what you're saying.
Thank
You
you,
think
homie,
people
I
should be really
appreciate it.
defrauded of the shit that comes out of their ass.
You
Okay.
think everybody
Wow.
okay.
Well,
That's
your
fucked.
That's crazy,
take
Sam.
over your
Like,
home? Oh my god! And
You
just,
know,
like,
Stardust,
take-
if-
you're yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you talk about this on every stream, you will be at like 10,000 subs in a month. I guarantee it.
I'm
You
just saying. I see,
always gotta bring
I
this
already have
subject
somebody
up.
agree with me that this is the best question to ask.
Look,
I'm just saying.
I
I'm just saying.
I
There are
had an
too many
experience with
jokes.
YouTube Crew. Okay, YouTube Crew, which is far different. The UK YouTube Crew, they take everything very seriously. Okay, and
Oh,
they
yeah,
got
they're-
really fucking upset with me when I
Yeah.
brought this up. Okay, I asked them if pooping was gay, and that was apparently controversial. Okay, is pooping gay? I don't know. It could be.
Comes out the ass.
you know,
Comes out the ass, and it's the size of your dick sometimes, so it could be gay.
You
But
never know.
apparently, that was really, really controversial. So, yeah, I've just been
I have to
very.
say,
I mean, what are you gonna say? Like you're pooping out the size of penises or something? You know, what are you gonna say?
Spokesman. Oh,
Have
wait,
you
honestly,
wait? Serious question. Serious question.
Oh,
I
it's like-
apologize for the vulgarity, but have you ever has anybody here ever taken a shit so big that it gave your nutsack like a high five on the way out?
Look, I've
this
not
question
a
is
high five,
way too personal, and I believe that this is intruding on some personal liberties that we have. Okay.
he is invoking his Fifth
Look,
Amendment.
honestly, I've left statues that poke out of the the ocean, if that's what you're saying.
I mean, we could. Yeah, mine was not specific at all. Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah, man. I mean, you can
Look,
leave.
I'm just
things
saying,
that-
y'all know. All of you guys know, okay? You know you've shit out something that's equal to the size of your dick or larger, all right? And you know that you have been pushing real hard one day and it has been turtling. It's been going in and out. Okay, you know it. Don't
Oh,
you
yeah.
dare deny it. Don't you
See,
dare
what
deny it.
makes- see what
Okay,
makes
You've
it
had
hang
a
on,
dick.
hang on here,
You've
hang
had
on.
a dick in and out of your butt, okay?
See,
You definitely
Stardust,
had a
Yes,
dick
basic
in and out
A
of your
is
but-
the
You see,
enjoyment. Okay. Well, basic
call
A
it
is the
the Perry
enjoyment. Right?
dogging.
Everyone knows this. It's common knowledge. All right. It's the enjoyment of the act. Okay. All right. If you
No,
enjoy the
yeah.
relief you get when it
There's
comes
an
out the
assumption.
ass,
There's an
then you're
assumption
gay.
here.
I'm just sorry. Like you have to accept it. Like
There's
you're gay.
the-
Like
the
just
key-
deal with it now.
very key assumption here.
Wait, are you
You're
saying we should
basically-
always hold it? Are you saying we should just
No,
hold
no,
it
no,
in? I would
dude.
say
I mean,
that.
Let it
it's
go a
up to
little bit
you.
and then suck
I
it
just
back
lost
in.
like 3
That's what they're
viewers, by the
saying.
way. So thanks,
You-
Octavian.
Hey,
You're-
hey, and
you're
you're gonna
basing it
gain
on
like
the
10
idea
subs. Okay, that's
that-
all.
You're
I'm
gonna
saying, all right?
Perry dog
That
your shit, basically.
Stimulation
is
in
what
that
you're
area
saying.
is necessarily gay. Lots of straight people, like I don't know, like husbands and their wives.
You
they-
guys
You've
said I could
definitely
ask
made a
anything
coom while
and
pooping.
change
What?
You've
it.
definitely made a coom while pooping, okay?
No, no.
All I'm gonna say is,
No, no,
you
no,
asked
no.
any question, okay, and this is what came up first. All right, I'm just saying.
Alright.
All right, you asked to change the topic, I changed the topic. Okay,
For
Alright.
Yeah, but
Sure.
if somebody asks me to change the topic, like I could change it again, but I'm just saying.
now
It's
we're
not-
going down the rabbit hole, guys. Now we're going down the
Look.
rabbit hole here.
I have been trying, okay, to conduct myself in an adult manner, all right? And Octavian over here, by the way, who was sick of my butthole questions prior.
I
You
was.
were-
It was more of a rant.
You
It was
were.
more of a rant.
You were sick of them. You were sick of my butthole questions. But now you can't get enough of them. Can you, Octavian?
because
Maybe.
they're funny as fuck.
Aren't they? Right? I'm funny as fuck, okay? I might be the funniest person that I know, okay? And it might maybe probably what you guys know, okay? Look. I just got to say I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say I told you so, okay?
Look, you just gotta say that when you are, defecating inside of a toilet bowl, and you decide to, take back in whatever it is that you're trying to defecate or evacuate out of your anal cavity, that is the procedure. I mean, I call that shit Groundhog Day at this point. We're
Okay.
Listen,
That-
at least.
Here's a new question. Here's a new question.
Perry dogging.
New question, guys. You're taking a shit, okay? You're taking the fattest shit, okay? And then all of a sudden, everything around you morphs, right? Everything around you morphs mid shit, okay? And then the shit
That's a
that was
powerful
coming out.
shit.
The shit that was coming out of your butt turns into a dick, right? And it's attached to a full-grown man, okay? And that man, his name is Horace, and he's holding you, okay? And he's really fucking buff, okay? And he's real good-looking too. But he's sticking his dick in your butt, okay? So you thought you were taking a shit, but like everything
Wait,
around you more.
Isn't that?
Are, is this
So
gay sex?
you're
That's what-
describing.
Whoa. Isn't that technically non-consensual? I don't know. Like,
No, I mean, like,
no,
I mean, he
no,
didn't-
but
he
you
didn't do
love
anything.
him. I just
You love
lost
him.
more viewers. Thanks,
Hey,
guys.
can I-
With that-
Hey,
Hey,
with
hey,
that
hold on.
fucking-
You asked. Okay, we could have gone. You could have said, "Hey, we're not talking about Sailor," but no. Now it's not my fault anymore because now you're asking.
You
different questions.
started this. You
Okay,
created
okay.
this monster,
The-
okay?
The moral
Cornelia-
dilemma of who did what is irrelevant. Okay, what is more
You
relevant is the
started
fact that
it.
you're getting is that by morphing, you're already creating a new person that has existed in the aether, which has never happened before, which is way more important to the question. Okay.
Okay,
Right?
so
Like-
Horus, okay, he's big buff. He's got some real fucking beefy muscles, okay? He's holding you, and you realize as his dick is going into your butt that you've been waiting. You've been saving your butthole for him all your life, okay? And he had just taken you to dinner at this nice seafood restaurant that night. You guys are in a hotel room, and he had taken you to a nice seafood restaurant, and he proposed to you there. He brought all the champagne out, and you had said yes. Oh my God, yes! And now you guys are in the hotel room, and this is the moment. This is the moment he's sliding his dick into your butt for the first time. Okay, and you know you love him. What do you do?
Hey, can I
first asked,
change-
I mean, the
Can I
chat
change
is, are
my
you-
answer? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age question? Can I change my answer to your age
What? What question?
Guessing how
To
old
my-
she was. I want
How long
to
is the
change
call?
the
How long is
answer.
the callback from?
Okay,
so
what is it?
We're different. Wait, sorry. go ahead.
After this conversation, I'm thinking like 9, 10.
If a 9-year-old is saying this shit, man, I don't know. I would seek help immediately.
Not
Oh
finally.
man, the shit I hear from my cousins.
Oh no.
I mean,
Listen, the
yeah, I don't think you
wormhole
should be
analogy.
hearing their shit. Okay, that's a bit weird,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, that's weird. I'm
That's-
gonna
that's weird,
call.
but-
I'm calling CPS.
Yeah, like this is a bit weird that you're hearing their shit. Like, kind of weird. Not gonna lie.
Also, Stardust, if you're tired and you're just staying here for us, like, feel free to kick everybody out and go to sleep. Don't feel like.
No, of
I don't
course
know,
not. But you know,
Yeah, yeah, for
Octavian
sure.
started some awful shit, and now I have to
Yeah.
finish it.
I mean, I mean,
Twin base.
who started what is irrelevant. Okay, the questions need to be answered. All right, the questions have been asked.
Did
and
Horus
still no one
come
has
from the
asked.
wormhole? How old is Horus? Horus is the same age as you, okay? You just realize you have all this you have all this memory come to you as soon as the whole room morphs. Anyways, if genders was reversed and I asked a woman this question, would it be harassment? Possibly. But all these people are consenting to be here in my chat.
So- Horus is a big buff dude who was handsome looking and who was ramming his cock into my asshole. I mean,
You're
that's-
just about to get his cock into your butt. It's the moment right before.
And he also proposed to me, brought champagne, and he did all the good. He basically did the textbook, all the check marks, basically.
Yeah, he did. He was the most romantic that night.
Did he also ASMR me to, to
He's
whatever you
whispering
want,
right
man.
now. He's whispering
want,
right
man.
now in your ear.
All
This
right,
is
so
what happened, right?
all right,
Yeah, sorry.
if he ASMR'd me, right, and he's talking to me like this, and he's about to enter into my butthole, right? So the first thing usually most people do is, when you're trying to defecate here, the sound you guys want to make is the sound, right? So when you make the sound, notice how the muscles in your abdomen activate. Those are the same muscles that you guys need to activate when you're trying to defecate. I know it sounds funny.
Eat more fibers. More
This
fibers.
is why I asked this question. Okay, Stardust, you get these answers,
He
right?
does know your name, Sadistic Psycho. He says Sadistic Psycho. And yes, he is looking longingly into your. Well, no, he can't look longingly into your eyes because he's behind you. Hilarious imposter.
Right, yeah, he's whispering in your ears, Sadistic Psycho. He's just telling you, X, Sadistic Psycho, X. I know your name.
Man, this is a bit sus. Sam, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna turn around. Boom. It's your wife, right? Boom. She takes off the mask. It was him all along. How do you feel?
I'd be like, where were you hiding this all along? I like, this is another side of you I never seen before.
Carnelian, he is a good boyfriend, so he'll do that for you. I guess. If that's what you want.
So, anyways,
This was an interesting turn of events.
So Carnelian Exile, not only does he want
I don't know what I stumbled
Horus,
into.
the big buff beautiful guy, to ram
Oh,
his
man.
cock down his asshole, but Carnelian Exile has take this an extra step far, and he also
I gotta
wants
get back
to
to
be
what
choked.
I was doing. Oh shit.
Well, we shouldn't be assuming genders here.
all I'm
Okay,
gonna say is
all right.
Carnelian.
So
They are like the prototypical sub.
Maybe
okay?
like
Ask
don't
that question.
include people from chat unless they're like
Like,
explicit.
Octavian, you were too young to be. You were too young to know those words. Too young.
I am literally a full-grown adult. Don't know what
You
you're
are
talking
not a full. You are too young to know that. Okay, you are a young man. Okay.
Or woman.
about. This is a
and
bit
you're-
sus line of questioning. Okay, all right, that's all I'm gonna say. All right,
This
So
is a
hang
what?
bit sus. Okay.
So,
Wait,
so
have
this
you been
man, that's going to be entering inside, and he's slipping in slowly, right? He's about 1 inch in right now. He's got the head in now. Is he going to be parry dogging this this particular thing into?
What does that mean?
Parry dogging basically is the practice of inserting and removing the said object, and inserting and removing the said object repeatedly, very slowly.
So Sam, what's your take on the recent events?
I don't know.
Administration?
I don't. Butts are scary. That's where the poop comes out. So I don't know.
So my recent take so far is that we have now a 1 inch cock inside of this magical box.
Danstagram, please don't disassociate from me after this. Oh my god, please.
Oh
I do
no,
have
I
to say,
won't. I'm
you know,
gonna have to hop in more
Sanders-
often now, probably. It's content
Sanders
for
has
me.
proposed a 6-inch expansion. However, the Biden administration is only considering up to 4 inches because Joe Manchin said, you can't go back to his state with 5 inches. It has to be like 5 inches max or less. So what's your take on that?
Okay, so wait a minute. Stardust did mention earlier that apparently the global size, the global penis size on average is getting smaller. So did we take that into account?
Yeah, we need to account for. Okay, I see. So
He's still got a really big dick though.
Yeah, but he's buff and handsome and beautiful, but a small penis, or at least below average. I don't. think
No,
so.
no, it's not. It's not below. It's actually average, or a little bit above average, actually.
Okay,
in Canada or the US,
okay. So
I need to know.
even with that, right? Even with that, you gotta understand that fecal matter doesn't have the same, how do you say this? The same
And go.
hardness, I would
Yes.
say.
But I do gotta dip. Good night, folks.
Oh, good night. Bye, Labyrinth. Thanks for
hop in
joining.
next time. How often do you
night.
stream?
Labyrinth.
And
I stream
you need
almost
to
every
think about
day.
You need to think
Okay.
about this question and then come back.
I
with, like, an
need
answer
to
the
I need to do research while obviously checking my sources and reading articles, doing the proper media investigation to make sure that it's
Yeah,
properly written.
do some research
Hey,
about
thanks for that, by the way.
Do some research about this topic. It's extremely important.
Of course.
For discourse as well.
I'm thinking of switching my major actually. Maybe
There's an industry for this. There's an industry for this.
gastrointestinal.
Butthole physics.
Go. All right.
Yeah,
but-
By the way, we're not just talking about theory here. We got to talk about practice as well. Okay. All right?
yeah, I think it's important to get over the theoretical before we get into the practice.
I mean, we need to know the theoretical as
Yeah.
well to make sure that
After,
practical is done effectively, right?
True and based. So I'll probably hop in after.
Horace is still with her, by the way. Horace is an avid Hillary Clinton supporter.
Still with her. Wow. True and based. All right,
Wow.
folks.
All right, man, take it easy. So back to the topic of buttholes. Is this going to be like an innie butthole, outie butthole? Does this butthole have any piles, any kind of hemorrhoids on it? Like, what
That's a good
exactly?
question.
Well, it's your butthole, so you're the one determining. Yeah. Good night, Labran.
Oh, so you're saying that this butthole is basically
It's
it
literally
ever
you,
adapts-
dude.
Oh, okay. It adapts. Okay, so okay.
HRC Stan ramming my asshole. This is becoming. Wow.
How is it not already interesting? I feel like that we came up with was extremely detailed, and deliberate. I don't know. This seems like we're just making more details that makes it even more interesting of a conversation. So
So is the cock veiny? Is the cock, is it lubed up? Is it not? There's so much things. Is the right
Horace,
mindset on the receiving end?
my understanding, Horace will do what you really want him to do. Okay.
Horace is the best boyfriend, okay? And
Yeah.
he makes sure he puts the perfect amount of lube on.
Yeah.
Whatever is to your suiting. This hypothetical is specifically suited to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, but is there a perfect amount of lube? I mean, you gotta
Well,
think about it that
from
way.
from your perspective, is there? Do you think there is?
I mean, fuck, man. I don't know. I don't do this shit. It's just theoretical at this point. So you guys help me here.
Yeah,
That
there's a
sounded-
perfect
that
amount
sounded
of
like a
lube that it
deflection.
goes on.
Yeah. You didn't answer the
it's-
question. Is there or is there not? You just said you want experience in the development. Doesn't mean you don't have an answer to the question.
No, listen, dude. I mean, let's get one thing straight here. By no,
Obviously, we're not. So
I mean, well, shit. I mean, Stardust. I defer to you.
What?
why would you be deferring to Stardust?
Another deflection.
Well, because I mean, listen. Honestly, I don't know. Is there a perfect amount of lube? Let me fucking Google this then. I'll research it.
Guys, if you want to experience this every week on Sunday night, I will be doing a group call, and anybody can join. And this may be one of the topics that we have, along with politics. So, just plugging myself real quick.
Half and half. It's a half and half discussion. Half.
All right, so
Yes.
I've opened up the best lube for sex, a personal guide for 2021.
Astroglide.
So let me,
I think that's what all the gay people say. That Astroglide is what you should use.
let me check, but I mean, you shouldn't be calling them gay people, though. By the way,
Wait,
Why?
what should you be calling them then?
I just say people. I mean, it doesn't
Wait,
matter.
aren't they
Straight
gay?
people,
Aren't they gay?
straight people.
I don't know. I think there's like
screw assholes
some.
too. You know.
I suppose that's true. I guess it's just all the gay people told me about
So-
that.
so
So
the,
not the straight people.
the asshole
Otherwise, I
has-
would say people.
Wait, is
the
Horace
gay-
gay?
the asshole has-
What is?
I-
He's
I'm
whatever
Horace?
he is. Okay.
Horace is whatever you want him to be. Okay.
Horace will be everything you ever.
What if I'm
desired.
What if I'm very confused and I don't know what I want Horace to be?
What if I want
Horace will,
both?
Horace will give you an understanding of what you want, so that he can be that.
So Horace, you're telling me that Horace can have two different parts?
Wait, what?
No. Now you're
That's
you're
not-
changing the hypothetical. The most
Yeah, now-
important
now
part of the
you're changing it.
hypothetical. Yeah. Horace always has a cock.
Yeah.
Always.
Always.
Unchanging, unwavering,
All right.
across multi universes and all dimensions. Horace will have a dick.
You will always have.
And it's always equal to or larger than your own, according
Exactly,
to
exactly.
Stardust standard. So
Yes. Horace is a multi-dimensional being in which he will always exist. Don't forget that as well.
And he will always somehow enter my magical asshole, no matter
Yes.
what.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, you're getting it now, Sam. See, you're getting it.
So, all right. So you're saying basically, no matter what, I'm that Horace is gonna ram our assholes, no matter what.
Yep.
No,
Unless
just-
you
just
unless
yours.
you say unless you say Horace, stop! I'm not ready yet, and then he'll wait for you to be ready.
And you will be ready at some point.
Hmm.
See, this is
and
this
Horace
the
is
real
always
deep shit
ready.
that I wanna get.
Yeah.
Yeah, Horace will be ready when you're ready. Right.
All right. So let's just listen to the chat real quick. Carnelian Exile over here said, "Does anyone in this chat have experience with anal sex and with Horace?" So
No, I don't.
I've never talked to
Alright.
Horace, but he seems like a cool guy.
yeah, Horace seems like a cool dude. You know, if I decide that if I have an open mind, I mean, shit.
You also have an open ass. Don't forget.
Yeah, and apparently I'll have no breaks to the fucking torrential downpour that will happen probably afterwards. So
I heard his hands are in fact soft.
I mean, that's
They
what
are
you
in
want.
fact
That's
soft.
what you want.
I just heard. Not from experience.
Yeah.
I just heard from someone.
so
Just
Clarus, I
clarify.
like that Clarus hasn't said anything for like 20 minutes on this topic.
Clarus, do you have any opinions at all? Anything?
He's reading Twitch's
okay.
TOS right now.
look, what if all the fecal matter is like did Horace pound everything into like a pancake or something? Like what happens to that?
Schrodinger's.
Okay, so as soon as the
Schrodinger's
shit, as soon as the
Horace.
shit left your butt, listen. As soon as the shit left your butt, okay, that as soon as it left your butt to go into the toilet bowl, everything around you morphed, and the shit was out of your butt. But then there was Horace there, right behind you, laying next to you in the bed, whispering
Therefore-
sweet nothings into your ear, and you go and you remember you're in the hotel room, and Horace took you to, you know,
Therefore,
Horace
there is
Land.
no
seafood.
shit. Therefore, Sam, there is no shit in your ass. The shit.
There's no shit in your ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It was all like a illusion. Okay.
It's a fever dream.
Yeah.
So basically, okay, all right, I got you. All right. I mean, shit. I guess if your ass is that filled up with shit or filled up with something, I guess you'll feel that way, huh? I don't know. It sounded to me you were describing like someone just.
Oh my god, I lost so many viewers.
It sounded to me like you're describing someone who was tripping or something for a
See, this is
second,
the
and
best-
then
this is
But what if you
the
want
best
them to be
joke,
right? Then they
when
will.
talking about why
Horace,
people would leave
Horace will
this-
morph
this
into.
debate. It's very heated.
Treats you
Okay.
how you
yeah,
want
it
to be
is. It's
treated.
very.
It's
It- it-
hypothetical
this-
necessary to understand your core moral beliefs. Okay, what you would do, when you realize that it's Horus, tells a lot about somebody. It's like when people say people have signs, or people have questions to determine what you are with these personality tests. No, the only question you need to ask somebody is what they would do with Horus. Okay, that's the true answer. Somebody's
Myers Briggs, I think, is a scam. I've always said it's a scam. The real question is Horus's dick. Okay.
exactly.
Basically,
someone in
will I
my
accept it or not? I will not.
You would not accept it, even if he's loving, caring.
I really don't give a fuck. I mean, I have an exit only
Soft
tattooed on my
hands.
asshole.
soft hands.
Do you have a tattoo that says that? Or
Would you let him give you a
imply-
handy?
That's another question. Another good question.
If I could somehow manifest Horus into a attractive,
He's already
you know,
attractive.
It's already attractive.
mean-
We already say that.
well, first
Horus
of all, you
looks
guys are
like-
calling it a him. Why does it has to be a him?
Horus looks like
Because
Because
Carlos.
Horus is. Are you denying Horus's gender identity now? That's
Yeah,
really
it's kinda weird.
unwoke of you.
It's pretty weird,
Well,
man.
I rather instead of Horus, I'd rather talk to Horus's sister instead.
Hey,
It's just a
Horus's
personal
sister-
Horus
preference.
doesn't have a sister. His entire family died in a car crash. You
Come on, man.
insensitive fuck. Jesus
weird.
Christ.
Pretty weird. Man.
Which is a
Oh
part of
my
why
God,
Horus is
dude.
so
Alright.
understanding and so willing to wait for you to be ready.
Yeah.
So-
He
So
understands
this
pain.
is a pity. So this is a pity fuck, is what you're saying.
It's
No,
not a
you
bit-
guys have been dating for
No.
like 2
I mean,
years.
what do you
Okay, he
mean?
took you out to
This is
seafood
crazy.
dinner. He proposed to you. Holy shit! How
In
insensitive.
public. In public.
So wait,
He
You know,
took you to
public
Olive
takes a lot of
Garden. He
guts.
took you to Olive Garden and asked for extra breadsticks.
hold on.
He
Okay,
brought the
hang on.
champagne out. It was fancier than Olive Garden.
It
Okay, it was a
was.
seafood restaurant. Okay.
Yeah, but someone can do all this shit until he gets into my asshole. Then what? You know what I'm saying? I mean, in the end of the day, what
Well,
guarantee do I
we
have?
already went beyond this. We already asked if he could suck your dick. We already asked that. You haven't answered the question.
Okay, so can Horus suck my dick? How about that? Is that the real question here? Is that
I mean,
what
we-
you're
Yeah.
trying to do?
Trying to describe
That's
the
the
hypothetical.
question.
The question is, can he suck your dick?
Well, then again, I look. If I knew Horus, hypothetically, what am I? What am I then in this particular case? What am I?
You
are
are
you.
you.
But I am who I am, right?
Horus,
My
man.
my
I'm
fucking
pretty
brown
sure,
self. I am who
Levelhead,
I
in your
am. Is
town,
that-
do you
is
guys
that
have
what
a
you guys are
street
saying
Yeah,
named
here?
Horse
yeah.
Man?
Horus looks like
Because
like
in the
Clark
town that I
Kent,
was
by the
fro-
way. He's
in the
got
town that I
like
was from, we
the
did, but so
perfect
did like
frame
every other
glasses,
city in
and
New
he's super
Mexico.
buff as fuck. Right? Just so you know.
Can he suck your dick? This is a question.
Look, I don't know, man. I have to plead the fifth on this. I don't understand, man.
Yeah. This is a direct answer.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. He's not ready yet, and the nature of Horus is that Horus waits
Horus
until
is
you're
waiting.
ready.
Yeah, Horus doesn't force. Somebody in
So
my chat
basically, I have
said,
to
"I
wait and-
shit, therefore I am."
True. That is
True.
Yes.
That is a good statement. Yeah, Sam. Horus will be ready for you when you're ready for Horus. Okay. Just remember that. All right.
Even if he has to wait his whole life yearning for you. He'll wait.
know,
Do you
Is it
guys
morally
have a
wrong to
street
make
named
Horus wait for
Horseman
you?
in your town?
You know, or is it
And also,
morally
did you
righteous
get
to be
your
ready
article
right now?
done?
You know, if you think
Horus
about it.
knows. Look, Horus knows that you are the love of his life, and he's never gonna love anybody like he loves you. So, he's willing to wait.
Yeah, but hold up. Am I Horus's first love or some shit? Like, what the fuck
No,
is
your
this?
Horus is true love. You don't understand.
Your Horus is
True.
true love. He's been through a couple. He's been through a couple of dudes, but Horus knows that those men
His-
are nothing like you.
Horus
his
knows the value of
fiancée-
true patience, huh?
His first fiance died in the car crash with his family.
It was
Yeah.
a very sad story, but
Yeah.
we should really not go into it that much for respect for that family. You know, of course.
Look, I'm gonna need perspective from this from my wife in a second. Okay, let me ask her. Should I allow Horace to ram my asshole or not? So hang on.
Wait, no,
She's
no, no.
gonna
We're not
say
even there yet.
yes.
Well, I mean,
When
obviously. it's
when
the
she
correct
meets
answer.
Horace, it's a for
Yeah,
sure
she would
yes.
say yes. When she
Well, it
hears,
would be her in the scenario, honestly. It wouldn't
Yeah.
even be you.
'cause-
Oh, so I get to watch Horace ram his cock in my wife's asshole. Is what you're saying?
Pretty
well, you're
much.
not. You know what? I mean, if you want to, Horace does.
If you
what-
want to. Horace knows that whoever is in that scenario with him is the love of his life. Okay?
Oh
He's willing
man,
to wait.
all right.
Horace
this
is omni-
sentence.
And if
This
that's
is
both
sentence.
of you, then you both are the love of his life.
Horus
Hey,
is
man,
omnipresent.
when
He's with all of us.
the Bible does say
He's-
when 2 or 3 is gathered in His name, He's there in His midst. So I understand completely what you're saying here.
Okay, what would you guys do if you woke up one morning and you found out you were like into cucking? You're just massively into cucking.
I would
Wait,
accept it.
I just woke up and I was like, yo.
No
Like
fucking
that's
guts. Like, no fucking heads
Yeah,
up.
you're just like, yo, I really want some other dude to fuck my wife right now, and I would love to watch.
Like it's part of like some random ass like hentai arc or something, or like some like shit like that where you wake up and you're like, actually I'm into this, and then you're like, okay, and, like that's it. That should be
Yeah.
the correct response. You're just like, well,
Look,
I mean, can't change it.
the
That's
only
right, I
thing I
for- I
can
forgot
say
you
is
guys were
if
that
all
small.
parties consent at this
I
point.
think I told you before, but we were like 30,000
Then-
people.
Why even ask? If everybody is an adult, everybody is aware. I mean, in all seriousness, if everyone is aware, if everyone's an adult, then and consent is there, and it's like verbally there,
Yeah.
and there is a safe word, like Hillary Clinton or something being a safe word, then
Mhm.
there you go. Everything is fine and dandy.
The safe word is Horace Mann. Like the American educator.
But he
Okay.
isn't Horace though. He's a good
He
person.
is.
But
I tried to tie it in. They
he's
don't
not
get it.
Horace though.
They don't get it.
So with
Isn't that
Horace
the
knowing the
requirement?
value,
Carnelian is too much. Carnelian says, isn't that the requirement of joining the police force? I'd send in my app TBH. I did not know that.
to what?
don't
To
think-
have Horace
I thought
ran
the
inside.
requirement was like being violent towards your spouse. I thought that was the requirement.
Yikes. Yikes,
Oh.
yikes, yikes.
Too hard on the memes, I guess.
Yikes.
Can't do
Holy
that, man.
shit. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts.
It's a hard meme.
It
It's a very
hurts.
hard
Just,
meme.
just
though.
like the cop or.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, I gotta stretch across cultural barriers here, but yeah, I feel you on that one.
Levelhead. These are not the normal panels
Yeah,
I was
that,
talking about, by the way.
I'll take
Oh
the
god, the
aspirin
viewers are going
instead of
back up.
the-
Why? Why are the viewers going up? What the fuck?
Because
wrong
the other
with you
viewers
people?
only left to spread the good word.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Of Horace.
Of course, yeah.
Are we gonna make a religion based off Horace now? Because he is.
Have you heard about
omnipresent.
Horace?
Knock, knock, knock. Have you heard about Horace, our good Lord and Savior?
Well, no, the love of your life. Okay. The
No,
love of your
love-
life. Okay.
love of
Yeah,
your life.
the
And
love
your-
of
he's
your
not your
life,
savior.
specifically you.
Oh, okay. Knock, knock, knock. Have you heard about Horace, the love of your life, specifically created for you?
Yes, that would be how you would do the
Initiation, right?
yeah, yep. Yeah, somebody can accept it, you can knock on their door later, and they will accept Horace
Yeah.
in their life. Stardust, I actually have a legitimate question. How many cults have you created?
Look, we're not going to talk about it, okay? Maybe like
it's more-
two.
2? Okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was more than 0. Okay. Definitely
Okay.
more than 0.
I created one by accident,
discussions
right?
about
And then the one
wide
that happened in the
buttholes.
DGG server, that was by accident as well. So
So you've accidentally created 2 cults, and we almost are at a third. Okay. All right. I'm just saying there
Please.
is a pattern. Okay, here where you are creating cults. I feel like, that's it's not good. All right. There's like a problem here where you're creating.
I don't
cults.
know why, and I don't have the charisma for it either. It's like really fucking weird. Like, aren't cult leaders supposed to be like sex gods or whatever? I'm over here. I look like a real life troll doll. Like, what the fuck's going on?
I mean, there's just something in the way you talk that like makes people think that like there has to be something that like drives how life works that isn't normal.
I'm talking
should
about
see-
buttholes and people think about life? What's going on, man? It's not a
Butthole
problem with me
question,
anymore.
Answers all.
Well, look, the whole problem was, when I first entered the chat, she just like was so assertive and demanding. And I had no idea what was I dealing with here until I had to stay a while and listen. Actually,
So you were a sub, is what you're saying.
yeah, I was, but now I am a active participant, I guess. Fuck me, man.
I mean,
Was that
Horus
to
won.
us or to Horus?
It's to Horus.
Yeah, obviously.
The cult
He's
of Horus.
ready. Horus
Did I
is
ever
ready.
tell you guys about this nightmare I had? I had this nightmare that I was at a party, and this dude named Leonard with like heavy metal hair and like a heavy metal outfit, like not heavy metal out. He just was kind of dressed like a typical like 80s dude, but he had like the heavy metal hair and super long and it was everywhere. Kept trying to fuck me in the butt. And I kept telling him, "No, Leonard, I don't want you fucking me in the butt. I don't know who you are. Leave me alone." But Leonard kept following me around the party trying to fuck me in the butt. It was the worst dream. It was
So
like
is
horrible.
Leonard the manifestation of Horus within your mind?
No,
Hey,
Leonard is like opposite of Horus. I'm scared of Leonard.
So Leonard is like the like devil in this situation, in this type of thing, where like Leonard is like
Maybe.
not accepting you for who you are, and just trying to get in your ass. Where Horus is understanding of you, and
Yeah, I kept telling Leonard, "I'm not ready, Leonard. Leave me alone, Leonard." But he wasn't having it, man. I was
This
just
is
like,
the,
I'm trying to have a good time at this party. Okay?
I think Horus, I think what Carlina said was true. Horus would kick Leonard's ass, right? And he was
and then
also-
ram his ass off.
and then ram his ass as well. And then
Yeah.
these are true statements.
When Leonard was ready,
Horus
of
is
course.
our hero.
Yeah, when Leonard was ready.
Leonard's ready.
When he's
Good
ready
one.
to accept Horus. When everyone dies, do they accept Horus as well? If they haven't accepted him yet, they accept Horus as their true love.
I've
As soon as they're ready.
spaghetti
They-
gun.
Yeah. If he has to wait an eternity, he'll wait.
Hmm.
He's very forgiving.
Like true love right there.
Mhm.
That is true.
Everybody has their own special Horus.
That is true. It's pretty optimistic,
It's quite beautiful, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Is there an original sin in the cult of Horus? I'm not really sure. I don't know what that means.
So back to the topic of buttholes. You remember we were talking about the fecal matter that's going to be peridogging inside and out, right? Just going in and out, in and out, in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What
that you brought up.
What was the conclusion? What was the conclusion? What was the
Yeah.
conclusion of that entire situation?
Well, I
Well,
think
you're
we
asking-
established.
Are you asking for
Sorry, go
yourself
ahead.
or for a
go ahead.
friend?
I don't know, go ahead.
Both.
Oh no, viewers went down again.
They had to go back to Horus. They're about to join the cult, and then you talked about going up and down.
God damn. All right, let's talk about Horus then. Shit.
No. I don't talk about Horus anymore.
You know what? At this point,
All right. Let's ASMR
I'm not
from Horus.
sorry for this conversation. Okay, I'm not sorry. I enjoyed it. All right.
Alrighty.
I'm
so
glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And just you have to acknowledge now that I'm a genius, okay? All right?
I don't have to acknowledge that you're a genius. I have to acknowledge that you created a good question. Okay. And this
Okay.
question should be spread around to the good folks of Twitch Politics.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is like a brain exercise. Okay, so let me get this straight. Horus, my longtime significant other partner, took me
Mhm.
to a hotel room. Not only did he take me to a hotel room, he took me to a 4-star or above hotel room. Beautiful views, beautiful, see-through elevator, so I can go all the way up to the 16th floor. All right, not specific here, by the way, but go all the way up to the 16th floor. It's right over here in Miami. You see the beautiful Miami skyline, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. The clouds, Atlantic Ocean, a little bit of the Keys, Hard Rock Hotel, the damn fucking laser lights that are hitting up in the sky, piercing through the clouds, causing a lot of FAA grief. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're focusing back on Horus. And then Horus, in his beautiful, beautiful way, has a beautiful spread of melted chocolate and strawberries. Okay? And we have a beautiful spread of chocolates, strawberries, man, something else. Whatever you desire in your heart. Exactly, Cornelian. You know, he's certainly within your heart, and he's within my heart too. So this gentleman, significant other, Horace, with his magnificent cock, you know, above average size, by the way. Just to make that pointed out clearly. His cock is above the average size and not, you know, affected by the global pandemic of decrease in penis sizes. So
I absolutely will. Now I have
Horace
to add a
right now
section on Horace.
is he's laid you down in bed. He's sweet talking you and he's telling you everything you want to hear and more. And he's about to enter inside and he puts on the right amount of lube. Let's not forget this right amount of lube. I googled up some lubes, so I believe he put on some Uber Lube luxury lubricant, 1.6 ounces, all over his cock, and he's about to enter inside. And as he's entering inside, he's whispering in your ear, telling you the things you need to hear, so that you can relax your anal sphincter muscles, so that you can essentially accept his above average size cock head inside of your anal cavity.
Okay. So yes, we need to stay in TOS. I don't know what
Fencing
TOS is, but
What breed is this,
we have
Eli?
to stay in it, and we are staying within it.
This is
I just
Eli's
want to.
favorite
I want to add. You remember? Yes, terms of service. I need to reread those just to be sure I'm not breaking anything.
Well, Trademarks has a podcast where he talks about dicks for 2 hours, so you know.
Okay. Okay.
We're fine.
I feel like somebody
I
needs
just
to
wanna-
animate.
I want
Somebody
you
needs
to-
to do an animation for this whole story.
Yeah,
Just-
this the story. I'm still trying my best to
This
get
is a
the.
story that Sam came up with within his heart. Right? This is
Okay.
Sam's Horace, right?
Let me just
Yeah.
reiterate as you're there and you're hearing Horace whisper into your ear telling you these things that you need to hear. You remember that night he'd just taken you to a 5-star seafood restaurant. He'd ordered all the platters for you. He brought out all the champagne. He got down on his knees and he proposed to you. And you'd never been so happy. It's the happiest you've ever been.
Right?
And he did everything perfectly. And when you came up to that hotel room, just as he said, chocolate covered strawberries, rose petals everywhere, and
A beautiful view of the Miami skyline.
yeah.
And
What if I was planning on proposing to Horace that night too? Look.
well, look, with two people on their knees, I mean, that's you won, you know?
That's
Cornelian.
true love right there. That is,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, you can't get any better than that. Two people on their knees, my God.
I mean, Horace will get on your knees for you anytime, because you know, if you want.
Look, if Horace is willing to go that far for me, then you know what, man, shit, I'm, you know what, I'm willing to give him some attention at least. God, I mean, my God, man, he's willing to be that patient and be that kind. Then shit, man, let me give my heart to this man because apparently he will take care of it better than I can.
We've come to the conclusion of Sam's Horace. Thank you, Sam, for coming to us with, you know.
Thank you for your generosity.
deepest thoughts.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's all the cards on the table right there, my man. Because you know, at the end of the day, you know, everybody has a Horace. Everybody needs to believe in their Horace, you know. And if your Horace wants to ram a cock up your asshole and somehow elevate you to next levels in your life, then shit, by God, man, just do it, you know. Because you never know. You're gonna live life just wondering, you know, what would it be without a cock rammed up your asshole, without Horace up in there. So let's just go for it, right?
Exactly.
Good stuff, guys. Good
I
stuff.
could not have worded it better myself.
If we have any artists in the chat, please draw up what Horace looks like to you and send them to Stardust in her Discord.
And if you have many pictures, I can't.
Well, for those of you who want some inspiration as to what kind of lubricant Horace would use, I have 3 of them available. There is gun oil silicone, 8 ounces. There is
I like Treasure
Sliquid
Planet.
Natural
I
Silver.
think Treasure
All
Planet's a
right,
fun
we're getting
movie.
a little
It's
bit
been
too
a
much
while.
into the details. All right.
An
That
advertisement.
might be too much.
I
It's been a while
look,
since I've seen it, but
am
I
going
just
to
like I actually don't
the
even
buck
remember a
to
whole lot
somebody
about
else
the
because
movie. I just
I
remember
want
having
to
a
take a break
blast
and
watching
hang
it.
out with Clears and like watch some shit. So let me see. Are any
What
of you
about
streaming
Allie's?
right now?
Allie's crying.
Um,
Ellie is crying.
but you know
Oh,
you're
man.
streaming right now to Instagram.
Yeah, thanks.
You're
Thanks
streaming
for
right
the
now, so I'm
thank you for
rating
the
you.
content. I appreciate it. Oh, you're
Oh,
so
Well,
kind.
you know,
Oh,
just
I'm sorry,
credit me.
Instagram.
Just
Oh,
credit
no, you're
me
good.
and look, just credit me. Tell your friends about
Always.
me.
I do.
Tell them like yeah. Okay. This goes to everybody in chat. If you enjoyed this content, please come back on Sunday. Because this is when I plan, this is the type of shit I plan to do for Sunday. It will be a group chat. So all right.
All right, I'm down.
All right, going to Dancegram. We
Oh,
are
boy.
going to raid Dancegram.
Let's go.
Please click the follow button, guys, and please follow me on YouTube as well. Click that
Follow
follow
Stardust.
button,
She's
please.
great. She's
I
truly
think that's
Thank you.
wonderful.
We had this very insightful conversation, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it tells you.
Yeah, this
See-
this
Yes.
conversation has taken me to places that I did not want to go.
But you know, it was good that you went there. You know,
Yeah. It was. Yeah,
I think
it's
it
good.
enlightened you on better knowledge about yourself,
Yeah,
about who you truly are, within your, within your heart, right?
I
Yeah.
mean, I guess within my heart, I apparently trust myself too damn much, and then apparently in Horus.
Well, I think you'll understand when you're ready.
True. True.
Very
I feel-
true.
Hey man, all right.
Click the follow button. Click the follow button or sleep with one eye open tonight, bitches. All right?
Smash that
Um,
follow button, or Horace
Smash
will
the
not
follow
wait.
button.
He will
Smash
not
the
wait.
follow button and check out the YouTube. Please subscribe. Okay, please subscribe. Thank you. Because I'm trying to get
letters
YouTube
and
partner.
rewards, okay? If you
I'm
don't
really
smash that follow
trying
button-
to get YouTube partner. Please. Okay. All right. Have fun with the people. Hello, Maria Toronto. I missed you.
Thank you, Stardust. Always
Holy shit.
appreciate you. All right, I'm gonna hop out of here. That way you guys can do your thing.
Hell yeah.
Maria, thank you so much. And for those of you joining us from Stardust channel, thanks for hopping on. So earlier today, I was working on a master document for like all of my belief systems. So taking one subject at a time, kind of writing out my position on that subject, adding documents that support my perspective, and then at some point, my intention is to write in their policy that I think can help push us towards the kind of world that I want to see based off of the positions that I have. And then we hopped over there into Stardust channel and got caught up in that conversation after stumbling upon a new Twitch streamer named Ali is Crying, who is 18 years old and is trying to get into the politics arena. So we are actually going to switch it up a little bit though. And Prime Chaos is actually streaming right now, and I was gonna pop in over there. I don't think they're in the open panel yet, but I wanted to see what their subject matter was for tonight.
From my Trump fund to my Trump hotel to my Trump this. I'm sure there was someone who did all of that dirty work for him, who was in his cabinet.
Go ahead,
We
correct.
won't stay in here for too long if this is closed.
Between some representatives from my state, Georgia, and between Donald Trump during the runoff election in Georgia.
My beliefs are absolutely pro chocolate covered strawberries, like 1,000% about pro chocolate covered strawberries. Also, Maria, you do a great job. If I remember right, you're a mod over there on Stardust channel. You do a fantastic job over there. She's really lucky to have you. This guy Sam, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate you. Thank you.
With, some counties in Georgia.
Didn't that representative leak the? Oh, who leaked the call? I thought it was her.
The state election board
Yeah.
the state election board guy, because there were people going out of their way
Hmm.
to go as far as putting nooses on the front lawns of regular poll
All right,
workers,
their convo's
like who had
pretty.
nothing to do with the
We just had a
process.
conversation
That
about
actually did
veganism
happen,
on our
and
channel.
it happened in my
Ooh.
hometown, in the town I live in too.
So veganism is one of the
I
subjects I
work
need
for the poll
to go
office,
back
and
and cover
since you be a
soon.
lowly poll worker, you
What I was
understand
working on
how. I mean,
currently
if you
was
understood how
was
low of a
college
job that
tuition
is,
and
be
whether or
the
not
lowly
college
poll
tuition
worker.
should be
Not that
free.
honorable of a
And
job.
then forming some
For you to
arguments in
end
there
up with,
too.
like, a
So the
noose
idea
outside
is
of
whenever I
your
do open
job,
panels like this one
just
here.
because you
Wait,
showed
well,
up to,
this
like,
is a
you
closed
know,
panel currently. But
and
Prime will
but
do
you know
the
the
same
ridiculousness
format
of
in an open
that.
panel.
The only problem with
Whenever I
that
join those
is
open
for
panels, I'll be able to
equivalent
refer
for
back to
that
documents directly based off of like the specific topics that we're talking about. But looks like that conversation's going pretty slowly. So anyway, I appreciate Stardust for rating, but I think again we're gonna go back to just doing some research for today. So we're gonna be looking at college tuition because that's where we left off earlier.
A college degree has become a basic credential for many jobs, but the cost of that degree is rising and becoming prohibitively expensive for millions of Americans. Student debt is a national crisis, one voters are pressing politicians to address. But it's not enough for candidates and policymakers to say that they're for free college. They need the policy to back it up. A jarring statistic carried headlines in 2012. Americans were more than $1 trillion in student debt. And it only took 6 years to add $500 billion more to that number.
So no, I wouldn't describe myself as a consequentialist. I would say that I'm most closely related to being utilitarian, but I recognize that utilitarianism for a lot of people does lead to like the consequentialist perspective. And the problem with that, right, is then you get to the means to an end argument, right? So, for instance, on means to an end. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, utilitarianism is the idea that we should, like very basically, it's the idea that we should reduce the total amount of suffering that exists in the universe, and we use that as a basis for making moral decisions, right? So, does this decision create more suffering or less suffering than another decision that we're comparing it to? And so typically what we would say is the better decision is the one that adds the least amount of suffering to the universe. But when you follow that down, right, you could ask yourself, all right, well then should we should we kill somebody and harvest organs from them if it can save 5 other people's lives? And the utilitarian being stuck in that philosophy seems like they would have to say, well, yeah, because it's for the greater good, right? But if you think about this practically, like I'm not really sure most people would want to live in a society where the odds of you or your grandma or like somebody that you care deeply about like getting killed for the sake of other people is a reality, right? Like it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah, so utilitarianism and consequentialism. Why am I struggling with words today? Anyway, they're similar. I mean, philosophy can be a bit fuzzy, right? Depending on who you're talking to. We also like overdefine these ideas sometimes too. Oh, what's up, Sam? Good to have you. Yeah, so we overdefine some of these ideas too, to the point to where we like confine certain perspectives too much and put them inside of a box. And whenever it comes to philosophy, I think we should discuss philosophy in a similar way that we discuss art. Like you shouldn't completely confine it. You should be able to color outside of the lines a little bit. That's kind of the nature of it. Maria, I've heard of things like rule utilitarianism and threshold utilitarianism. So maybe kill one to save five is too small, but kill Hitler to save 12 million, that's justified. Yeah, so Maria, that is, again, you can create subcategories for a lot of philosophies. And then the question there becomes like, where do you draw the line, right? So it seems as though, and I would agree with this, it seems as though it makes sense, right, to kill Hitler in order to save 12 million people or 6 million people, or I would argue even like 1,000 people, right? But the problem with examples like that is we assume, right, that there's like, it assumes that having characters like Hitler is kind of common or regular whenever it's not. So whenever you get down to like the problem of the train track, right, you pull the lever to kill one person and save five. These are like real scenarios that would be present all the time. And so if you take up the consequentialist perspective, that would apply like right away. Whereas when applying it to Hitler, it takes time for like Hitler's to rise and come about. But is it the point to determine a moral framework rather than what the best philosophy would be pragmatically? Yeah. I mean, even that though, even that though kind of depends on the person, right? Let's see, Carnelian. I remember that Destiny's vid of the Buddhist person saying each life is infinitely valuable. That just doesn't make sense to me. So my question to chat would be, do you guys think that all lives are equally valuable? Oh man, Sam. So Sam the human. I've been wanting to have a conversation with him about philosophy because this dude is like, as far as people that I know personally, this is the go-to guy. So what I would say, and this sounds controversial to a lot of people, but I would say we definitely wouldn't value all lives equally, right? So I would definitely say that that everybody deserves like the same rights. Everybody deserves, you know, the right to live, your basic like human rights, right? But to say that all people are equal seems to objectively like not be true. Maria says the trolley problem seems to also be a rare scenario, just like Hitler. I've never been in this situation, so it seems to me the utilitarianism works in like 99% of cases. Yeah, but until you take it all the way to its end of like consequentialist, right? So where the trolley problem specifically may never happen or might happen rarely, the problem is that we can think about equivalent scenarios, right? So organ donations would be a good example of this. So it is possible for me to donate all of my organs to people who need them, right? So in my body, I could probably realistically save 3 or 4 people's lives, right? I have a liver, I have a heart, my lungs, right? So there's 3 or 4 people that I could save right there. So if we accepted this philosophy, like the means to the end idea of this philosophy, then right away we could start like killing people and harvesting them for organs, which again, it just doesn't really make much sense to me. We don't need to make the claim that all lives are equally valuable, just that beings have value sufficient to not be killed. Vegans don't want to give pigs the right to drive a car. Maria, I agree. Yeah. And Carnelian says, I tend to agree with Destiny that sometimes people can do things that will make them less valuable or weighted less in certain given situations. Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Like people's value to me is determined based off of like what they can give to me personally or to the society in a way that benefits me, right? So my understanding of morality is like the reason why we like don't go around beating the shit out of other people, for instance, is because we don't want other people to do that to us, right? And so we understand that it's probably better for our sake if we don't create a environment where it's normal to like harm other people, because then we are putting ourselves into that same environment. And Cornelian, thank you so much for the follow. And so whenever it comes to value, right? Like I don't expect I don't expect people to value my life as heavily as like they value their spouses, right? So this would be one example. With your spouse, you have an intimate relationship there. Maybe they also contribute like equity to your household. They can also bear you children, right? So typically we view our spouses as like being more valuable than or having more value than other people that we know. Equally as valuable or right below that would typically be like our children, right? But from my perspective, whenever I look at like your kids, for instance, or somebody else's kids, I don't find the same value in somebody else's children as that person sees in their own kids, if that makes sense. So value seems to be relative, which means that there are varying degrees to value. But how are you determining value itself? What is value other than the result of our own pre-existing definitions? That question kind of answers itself, right? So inherently, people already have different definitions for what value is. And again, this is obviously opinion. So maybe my standards for the value that somebody brings to my life are different than somebody else's, which they absolutely are, which again just leads on to the point that value is going to be different depending on the perspective of the person who is placing value. So it kind of doesn't matter whether or not we agree on a definition of value, because even so, under most circumstances, unless value is unless we're defining value to be very strict, right? So like how much, I don't know, how much horsepower or how many calories can you burn a day for like hard labor? Like unless we do it there to where we get like some kind of actual numerical value, we're never going to agree on like the value of one person. It's always going to be different. So also, I know it gets annoyingly esoteric and meta, but it's hard for me to not end up in a nihilistic framework. The value of meaning is simply a construct of our minds. I suppose that it still makes it real, but that still doesn't allow me to come to any other objective definition, only a subjective one. Yeah, philosophy gets weird. Sam, the human, would be a great person to have on for a conversation like this. Moving on, let's see, Maria, determining moral value or even moral agents is probably really hard. It seems to just be easier to argue that people are already valuing things and go from there. Yeah, but again, people value, so even inanimate objects, right? The value of any object, and this is kind of why we have money, the value of anything, whether person, animal, cell phone, gun, house, is going to be different from person to person. Some people place more value in certain things than other people do. So Sam says, so we can start from a framework that morals fail to map to real things, but still adopt a moral framework to make normative claims. This is the idea of fictionalism in error theory. Hey Sam, are you able to get on Discord? I would love to just like pull you in, because it seems as though, I mean, we were going to make time to have a conversation about morality anyway, and if you're available, it seems as though now might be the appropriate time, and you are probably a better authority on this. Cool. I will hop over into my Discord then. So I'm going to bring on Sam, and I will let Sam kind of give his own intro whenever he hops in here. Sam's a great dude. We've done some political panels together. We tend to agree on many things. I think he's currently studying like machine learning. Just gonna let you guys like see all my DMs and everything.
So you can pop it out if you look at the window, right? There's a pop out button. You can pop that out, and then you don't have to show like the Discord window, and it just shows the
there we go
chat. So if I put on my camera, then you'll
awesome. Yeah, I see that, except my face is over yours, so let me do this real quick. I was like messing around with this this overlay today. Bam. Let's just move me over here. Let's just make me really big. Just make me bigger. How about that? Cool beans. Yeah, sorry you won't be able to see me. I'm not running through split cam right now.
No, that's fine.
Oh, you know what? I also need to get my... Hold on, Maria. I will send you... Give me a second. I'll send you the Discord link. Still need to get that set up in my channel as well. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess when you're talking about like meta ethics, right? We have like two main positions that from my understanding, there's two main positions. You could have like moral realism and moral anti-realism, right? So these are the two basically schools of thought. Either morals map to something real, or morals don't map to something real, right? So there are multiple schools within each, right? So you can have you could have the stuff that like the atheists did, where they're deists. They believe that morals map to real things, but there isn't like any divine power that defies these or anything like that. And you could have like theists who believe that like morals come from God, or God is morals or whatever. There's a lot of different schools of thought there. But then you could have what's like moral anti-realist, right? So people who believe that morals aren't real, which is what I am. I am a moral anti-realist. So in there's a couple of different fields. The ones that I'm most familiar with are moral non-cognitivists, egoists, and error theorists. Which I'm an error theorist, and then within error theory there are different fields. So it gets kind of, you get into different ideas. So. Well, I've studied error theory the most, so my understanding is that there are 4 pathways from error theory. So error theory basically states that we don't either that morals don't map to something real, or we can try to map morals to something real, but it will always fail. And so from this error, from this error of a moral discussion of normative claims, where can we move forward? So we have conservatism inside error theory, which is kind of like you come from the idea that morals could map to something real, but we'll never know. We can't prove it, and so therefore we just move forward as if morals do map to something real, and we just pretend that they do. You can have fictionalism, which says that morals will never map to something real, but we need to adopt some kind of moral framework in order to kind of deal with society to be able to make these normative claims. There's abolitionists who believe that we should just remove normative claims, that we should just stop talking about morals altogether. And then there's one other one that I don't remember exactly how it works, but yeah. The way that you kind of describe your philosophy, to me, it sounds kind of like an egoist, right? Egoists believe in some kind of self welfare, right? Some kind of like idea of like self-interest, and welfare being the idea of maximizing everybody's self-interest. That's kind of like Destiny's position from my understanding, and from what you understood, it kind of sounds very similar. So from there you can have like a lot of different things, but that's kind of like the groundwork level of like meta ethics that you have to go through.
Okay, so you make the your perspective is that morals don't actually exist.
Yes.
So if morals don't exist, like why do we talk about them? Like where do you draw the line on existence? Can ideas exist, or like in what reality do ideas and thoughts exist? Does philosophy exist?
So in a way, no. These are all emergent properties from something that we can't understand. That like basically that's like my understanding. I don't know if this is like the main school of thought in fictionalism. I'm not super well read. Meta ethics is something that I dislike. I've thought about it enough to have this kind of like baseline discussion about it. Meta ethics to me is very, very bogged down into this like cerebral conversation that a lot of times people can't escape it, right? Like when you start having a meta ethics conversation, it doesn't have any pragmatic effect in the real world. I think that like not being able to make normative claims if you believe so is like dangerous, because like you can't, then you have to start discussing a lot of other things. And maybe I just don't understand non-cognitivists that well, but every time I've had a conversation with them, it always goes to meta ethics, and then I just don't want to have a conversation. But yeah, I think that like ideas could exist. Do you know the Descartes experiment of like the Descartes' demon? Do you know that idea?
Possibly. Will you explain it in case I don't recall it right away.
Yeah.
I may have heard of it before though.
So this is probably like one of the most famous thought experiments ever. Is okay, and it probably one of the most quoted lines ever in philosophy, which is "I think, therefore I am."
Okay.
Which is the actual line would be translated to "I am thinking, and therefore I exist." But the idea is that like if you think about it, all your senses can your senses can deceive you. You can think about times where you've smelled something that isn't actually there, or you've seen something like a mirage or something, right? Visual things. So how do we know that all of our perceptions are not deceptions, right? And so it's a thought experiment done by a famous mathematician named Descartes in France. It's I don't know the exact like premises that he uses to defeat this theoretical demon that is there just to deceive him. But at the end, he basically says that because he's thinking, the demon he exists, and he is not a product of the demon. That that as long as he could do that, there he is. So he's and so he's isolated on this island that the only thing that he knows that exists is himself, and then from there he kind of expands. The expansion of what he believes that isn't himself is kind of irrelevant. It's been defeated and then rebutted and then defeated and then rebutted in the past, but that's like beyond the scope of this. But basically that idea of like yourself being being somebody is like a integral part of like my belief system, and like I think that is how I, if something exists for me, I just apply it to other people, because for me, pragmatically, it seems to make the most amount of sense. I take like a Rawlsian position from here, so.
No, and that's where I end up too, I guess, because for instance, I was once challenged on the whole like I think therefore I am thing, right? And I was like, well, it seems as though that really is the only thing that we can know, right? And that's the only way to build a basis for operating in like a functional way in a society. So then the argument then moved on to, okay, well, even if I know that I'm thinking, how do I know that other people are thinking? And the fact there is that you can't, but you can. The way to move forward is to just assume that other people are. And from here, for like utilitarianism, for instance, I've experienced pushback on the idea of like, well, how do you know that animals are suffering, for instance, right? So I know that you don't believe that animals deserve like moral consideration, right? That was something that.
Yeah. So one of the positions that I've taken up is that animals are not moral agents, nor are agents of moral consideration. So I don't believe that animals' actions can be moral or immoral, and I don't think that they're like actions committed against animals are moral or immoral. I think they're all morally neutral.
Okay. That was actually something I was really interested in exploring, because I completely disagree with that, right? Because the idea for my morality comes from, again, like this idea of suffering and trying to whatever reduces the total net sum of suffering in the universe is better than anything that keeps it the same or increases it. And since we can look at animals, we know that they experience pain. We can just use pain alone and not even dive into psychology as a measurement for like morality, and use that to determine, in my point of view, that animals, deserve moral consideration. However, just a caveat here, I don't believe that animals can act immorally, right? like
Yes,
a
you don't think
lion.
they're moral agents.
Yeah, no. At some point,
Yeah, that's
at
fine.
some
I mean,
point,
like
I'm
that. That's
sure.
a fine position.
Yeah, it's possible that maybe it's possible that at some point in intelligence that does become true, right? Like dolphins are pretty damn smart, and it's been said that they like rape people for like they have sex for pleasure sometimes, including like rape, and sometimes other animals kill for quote unquote fun. So if at some point those animals were to evolve enough to reach like some tier of intelligence, it's possible that other animals could maybe become moral agents.
Sure. So, sorry, I got sidetracked by your chat. So, for inanimate objects, I believe that inanimate objects exist as long as there is someone interacting with it. I mean, like, I don't know if in that they exist for interaction. I don't know if they exist in like a perfect world of forms or whatever. I don't like that's another question that we could go into, but the
Yeah, and if you want to
but
address chat before addressing me, feel free to.
Yeah, and so my question for you would be, so we have this like idea of like pain. So if somebody is has a condition where they cannot feel pain or at all, right? Are they no longer an agent of moral consideration? Can you do whatever you want to somebody who doesn't feel pain?
No, because we know, so just because you don't feel pain, right, doesn't necessarily mean that you can't experience things that are negative for you, right? So if so for instance, let's say you can't feel me breaking your leg, we still know that like having a broken leg is not advantageous to living like a fulfilling life, right? Like you're gonna have a harder time getting to and from the grocery store. Your broken leg could lead you to death through some other sense, whether it's infection or not being able to escape like some predator or hazardous situation. So pain isn't the only measurement, and I don't equate suffering and pain. Pain is just an easy way to put like some kind of valuation on suffering without getting into psychological stuff.
Yeah, so the thing that I would say is that if you pin that down, you're going to find that it's a arbitrary line that you've drawn. Always, like I think that this is just true. So there's a theory in mathematics called Gödel's incompleteness theory, which I think maps to philosophy. And there's some question in philosophy about whether or not there are uses of Gödel's incompleteness theory in philosophy. But basically what it says is that any axiomatic system, any system that is based off rules, has at the base of it some fundamental axioms that cannot be proven, that are just presupposed, that we just say are true and we have to believe on faith. And I think that because of that, your axioms like the axioms that you've presupposed, make it so that you have to consider animals for moral consideration, and the axioms that I've presupposed, I don't have to consider animals. And that's really just the difference between you and I. I could completely, and the position that I have, I can completely change that at any point, and I'm like not morally inconsistent, because I believe that morals are just this fictional tool that we use to make normative statements. I think that like I could be convinced that like maybe I should consider animals for moral consideration, but like I just don't think it's useful right now for me as like when I make moral decisions, so I just don't.
Right,
I think
and
that
maybe
like I can come to a lot of.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that I just think I could come to a lot of positions that probably you would too, where like for veganism without having to consider animals at all.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you to talk
like
about that a little bit to me. Yeah. So Sam is vegan, to my understanding, and I am I'm trying to go vegetarian. I'm trying to learn recipes and stuff and all that right now. So how do you justify veganism outside of like morally, or I shouldn't, what made you go vegan, if it wasn't for moral reasons?
Yeah, so basically, I looked at the environmental impact, because I basically looked at what is the impact on humans, on the ability of humankind to affect others when you eat animals, right? So basically, my entire position is that it is, as long as the current way that we eat animals is damaging to the environment, then it is an immoral act based off the damage you're causing to humans, because there is considerable harm done to humans. I don't think that I think that if we could figure out a way that had a zero emission way of killing animals, I don't think that I could justify like morally that you could be like a vegan. I think my moral justification for being a vegan is completely environmental because of the fact that the harm it causes to humans in the end.
So I want to make sure I haven't missed it, but right now I feel like I still don't. So I can understand then why you're not applying morals to animals from your perspective, but why then even apply morals to humans?
So my position is that humans are agents from like humans, people like me, people or humans, which that's a definition we can get into what makes a human, right? So you could get into the name a trait thing, and I think the trait is that a human is just somebody who can communicate with us in a way that is meaningful, and if not that, then that they are some kind of connection. When you look at them, or when other people look at them, they say this is a human, which again, I think that mainly gets most people. We're very like humans have a very very good tool to distinguish other humans from each other. I have to bite the bullet on some things, but like I think that this is like for me the best way I could do it. I just think that like I don't know how to explain it. Like it's a little bit more complex than just these like really really cerebral definitions of human, but basically my Rawlsian position, my first position is that the idea is that like humans are agents of moral consideration. So again, it's not so sorry, somebody in your chat said like if someone doesn't speak a language I know, they are not human to me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's a lot more like to this definition that's like a lot more complicated. So it's really about like the connection of people to some whole that like is beyond definition. That kind of is a little bit innocuous for us to define. And some animals can communicate non-verbally, but that's not really, again, it's this connection to this idea of a human that we have. So again, this would be getting into kind of like the perfect world of forms. So there's like some idea we have of a human being, and I think that like when you can connect to that, things that are the shadows of that perfect form are kind of what I consider for moral consideration because I'm a human, and that's kind of how it is. But I mean, again, I would also have to bite the bullet on like certain things, like if an alien race came to the planet and started killing us, that would be like morally neutral. Like I don't think that it would be like just because I consider us for moral, like they aren't moral agents. Like aliens, like higher beings of higher consciousness. It's not like a level of consciousness. It's just like the system that I've adopted to move forward from that kind of like island of like we can't do anything because morals aren't real, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a little complicated, but yeah.
No, and I'm following along with Chad too at the same time. So I was actually going to bring up the whole alien thing. I'm glad that you did. So because you're much more studied than this, it's hard for me to like right away understand some concepts. So humans, right, humans should have moral consideration for other humans, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and
or
it's
at
because
least
of
that's my so sorry. That is what I am imposing on others. Like I want to impose on others a system that humans should be considered for moral consideration. Yeah, humans should be actors of moral consideration.
So where do we draw the line on like what it means to no longer be human or to be human? So for instance, like for being like is there anything equivalent to like subhuman in your worldview? And we'll just start off with like people with disabilities or even severe disabilities. You could get into like the idea of babies and children, or fetuses. So where do you stand on like these separate issues here?
So yeah, I think pragmatically we probably don't even even in most systems we probably wouldn't consider babies like actors, like moral actors, or like people with severe disabilities, moral actors, because they don't seem to have like cognitive abilities that allow them to think in the same way that we do. To me, that doesn't inherently remove them from being moral agents of moral consideration, because again, they are humans. Like again, it seems to be that we have this genus that we've done, and this is kind of moving it from a field of science into philosophy. We kind of use this as a pragmatic approach to just say, in my system, to say like these are the things that we consider for human consideration, for moral consideration. That if we can identify it as a human in some way, then it probably deserves like moral consideration. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess I'm honestly just kind of like troubled by it, I guess. So
No,
let's see.
it's fine. I understand that it can be kind of like a little weird and a little, again, this is kind of one of my problems with philosophy in general is the cerebral, the kind of like I keep using the word cerebral, but it's kind of like it's very heady, right? Like we don't, it doesn't escape our brains. This conversation has no merit outside of one of these conversations, correct? Pragmatically,
Sure.
we talk about policy and things which don't map to morals. These are things that are in real life. They're tangible.
Okay, I wanna work down this line of thinking then to get away from animals a little bit, because maybe there's too much emotion. So maybe we could go with a hypothetical here. Would you say that clones deserve, like clones of humans, right? Like a full-blown adult clone, would that deserve moral consideration in the same way that you would give like moral consideration to me?
Probably yes.
Okay. What about if we let's say like we have a cyborg then, right? Somebody who somebody who is human, maybe they lost a leg or something like that, and maybe let's just say over 50% of their body has been replaced with like uh, mechanical or electrical parts to act as like what's the term for it? Prosthetics, right? So like mechanically functional prosthetics that essentially like return full use of limbs that used to be there, and it makes up more than 50% of them. Should these people like deserve moral consideration?
I would also probably say yes. So this is kind of like the idea of the ship of Theseus. Have you ever heard of that thought experiment?
No, but you can run through this too in case it's already been
So
talked about.
yes, so the ship of Theseus states that you have so Theseus has a ship, and while he's out, they replace each plank of the ship one by one with a new plank, right? And so when Theseus gets back, though, he decides that he wants to build a monument to his old ship, and so he takes all of the old planks and he builds an exact copy of the original ship of Theseus with the original planks. Now, which ship is the ship of Theseus? Is it both ships? Is it one ship? Is it neither ship? So this is kind of the idea of transhumanism, right? So we would, as we replace parts, at what point are we no longer human? And my answer to this question is that there is no point at which you're no longer human. That person's probably an agent of moral consideration.
Okay,
as long as
so
you started out at one point from like a human state.
Okay, so let's say we were somehow able to let's say that we took you, right, and we were able to like actually transport your consciousness into a computer. So your body dies, but who you are is in the computer. Obviously this probably is not how things would ever work, but let's just, for the sake of this hypothetical, say that it is, right? Like you are just now living in a computer. Do you deserve moral consideration at that point?
Again, probably. I don't think that the vessel in which, so this is kind of like a dualist position, right? I guess like your consciousness, your being is a separate thing from your body. So I guess I would say that probably yes, because again, you started off as a human. I don't think that the vessel of which you transport to fundamentally makes you a different thing.
Okay. What if it was somehow possible to like put your consciousness into a different body form? Like, let's say aliens did come down, and for whatever reason, the way that they were made up, maybe they were silicone based and not water based. We figure out how to upload your consciousness into a alien body, like the very aliens that don't have to give us moral consideration. According to your framework, we are able to somehow put your consciousness into one of their bodies. Do you still deserve like moral consideration from us?
Again, in this hypothetical, as long as like the being is the same, then probably yes. I don't think that the vessel matters at this point. And I would even probably say that if I had one of these altering experiences, I don't know how I could stay with this moral framework. I think that that would inherently make me change my framework. And I don't think that endangers my system in any way, because again, I don't believe that I believe that this adoption of this moral system is just for the sake of brevity.
Okay, so this moral system exists simply because of the current like situation that we find ourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
And so morals basically are subject to change depending on what situation we may find ourselves in. Is that right?
Yep, that is true. Yeah, that is how I view morals. Yeah.
Okay, so it seems as though morals have a little bit of like fluidity to them then from your perspective. So I guess why not, like, if we can draw this hypothetical all the way down this line, and we would say, oh yeah, well, I would change my morals, right, if this were the case. If we were to continue on with the hypothetical and be like, okay, well, let's say that these aliens are actually pretty, like, they're, for all practical purposes, they're basically humans in terms of like intelligence and all of that, except in different bodies, but they're still aliens. Like, wouldn't we then say that we should probably not only extend them moral consideration, but that they should probably also consider us moral consideration?
Yeah, I could see a moral system in which we do. I will say that most of the time when something is not in my moral system, it's probably because, one, I don't want to think about it, or I just haven't. Which is kind of like the reason for animals not being agents of moral consideration, that if I just don't consider them, it's just easier on me. I don't have to think as much about like what actions I'm doing, which seems really shitty. And I guess it is in some way. It's a little,
it definitely seems shitty.
But if I think if I'm willing to bite some bullets, I think then it just makes it more. It just makes it quicker to like fundamentally find these like pragmatic issues that I need morals for, that I find utility in morals. I don't find like the utility in morals of like talking about whether or not we should like consider animals for moral consideration, if that makes any sense. Like to me, it just doesn't seem like a useful conversation.
Well, I disagree, and the reason being is because we have many people who, right? Okay, so let's look at it this way, right? You and I probably both agree, on like in many respects on what we think the world should look like, right? So you and I both have an idea of utopia, and both of our utopias are probably like pretty closely, like they probably look pretty similar, right? So my issue, while I understand why you don't consider animals morally, it does seem to be like completely selfish, and it seems to be like a very smart way of looking at things from the perspective of just like saving time and trying to create more time to put forth towards other things, right? But if somebody else were like, if we were to give your framework to somebody else and you expected them to come up with like the same idea of like a utopia as what you have, it seems as though they could, using your moral framework or your rules for determining moral framework, it seems as though they could come to very different conclusions than you. And what I try to do is create like some kind of like, I try to follow fundamental rules and then see where those rules lead me, and then wherever they lead me, is kind of like the positions that I end up adopting, right? So if we could go so far as to say like, hey, if we did find ourselves in a situation where aliens were here, and I acknowledge that I would change my morals in that instance to be like, hey, you know what, maybe we should consider them morally and maybe they should consider us morally. I would just argue, well, if that were to happen and that's what you would do, then I would say you might as well just do it now, because that seems to be like the consistent thing to do. And it seems like being consistent makes more sense than like trying to fast track, I guess, moral decisions.
Yeah, I think that there are some like do you know about like Janian like philosophy of like Janus
Like not
would,
stepping on beetles, right? Like not stepping on
yeah,
ants.
they would be they would consider like those like morally irreprehensible. And so like I think that like if you do consider animals for moral consideration, you can't make these delineation like the arbitrary delineations become so broad that like you're going to have to start accepting things that are like plants and a bunch of other things, and you have to accept like this extreme worldview of like moral consideration for almost every living thing, including plants. And so that's why like I've just chosen the line at humans, and that's kind of like where I've it's like I know it's selfish and it's like
but can you,
for expediency,
can you take into account like moral consideration for all life while also finding like, can you take up that like, could you take up that form of morality and also find a way to fast track decision making without having to waste a bunch of time thinking about, you know, how you're going to get to work because there's a bunch of ants on the sidewalk and you can't really get around them without stepping on them? Like, so for instance, I would say again, like it comes back to the idea of like suffering and that sort of thing. Like at the end of the day, right? Like me, if I were to give moral consideration to plants, for instance, right? Me eating plants to me is probably still far less causes far less like suffering to enter the universe as what it would be for me to like have a cow slaughtered and then eat that cow. So it seems like if we can agree that like not all suffering is equivalent, but that there are degrees to suffering, then again, like that's kind of my way of like fast tracking decision making. Like, oh, it seems like this decision isn't that harmful. Maybe there is some harm that comes from it, but I don't necessarily have to avoid all things that are like quote unquote immoral, so long as I like strive to do the thing that is like the least immoral.
Yeah, and and in my world, I would say that that is just the arbitrary line that you've decided on, and that's like I think that we can figure out a way to find some reconciliation between my moral system and your moral system, in which we can make normative claims that work in both, and that's basically where I would move the conversation to, rather than like having this discussion about like where our arbitrary line starts.
Yeah, I suppose. And I think for the sake of conversation between like between you and me, I would agree to do the same thing, but I would totally disagree in conversations with most other people who I like, for instance, I know have not thought through morality as deeply as you have, right? So it's hard for me to like just move on, because I don't think that the lines on morality are actually all that arbitrary. I think that ideas like even like I think ideas are almost real things, or can be, and I think that there's some justification to that. So I don't know, and the reason why is because ideas inform actions, and actions are very real things. So we could argue again about like it kind of comes back to that whole what was the name of the thought experiment with the ship? Like it almost comes back to that point. Like at what point does something become something else? You know?
New. Yeah.
Yeah, so another good thought experiment that I don't remember the name of was like drawing the halfway point, right? Like if you go from point A to point B, you can agree that there's a halfway point, but there's also a halfway point between every between every point A and point B, right? So if I have point A, point B, and I go halfway, you could call that, point C or whatever. And then between my point A and my point C, there's another halfway point. And if we were to only go half the distance to each halfway point, would we ever actually reach the end? and it seems like you would just get infinitely closer to your end goal, but never actually reach there.
Yep.
But yeah, but I probably explained that horribly. So for anybody who's confused, I apologize. But it seems as though whenever we dive into the real world, like we can actually, we know that point B exists. You can actually reach it, and I would just argue that this is kind of true with ideas and morality as well. It might be hard to explain. Maybe nobody has been able to explain it in a way that makes sense, but it seems like at some point we'll be able to like figure out how to say morality is like real. We just don't know how to do it yet.
Yeah. So I think that could be the case. I just I don't know. I just, to me, it seems a little absurd that there could be these like these real values of good or bad or whatever that morals are actually mapping to. One of the things, sorry, I just want to respond to something else. Somebody said about speciesism. Sure, if you want to call me a speciesist, I don't care. I'll bite the bullet. Yeah, sure, I'm a speciesist. Fucking humans all the way. Human supremacy, sure. But the idea, the idea here would be that I just don't think the sorry, I just like lost my train of thought.
Oh, you're good.
Give me a sec.
Yeah, I think you were talking about the idea that we can prescribe like real value to morality, or like real value to things.
Oh yeah. So like, I just again, one of the problems I have with like meta ethics is that I can't be like, these conversations to me seem so removed from, like, again, the pragmatic sense of like what we want to prescribe, that to me it's kind of silly to have this conversation. But I also understand the utility of this conversation when we're having a conversation like this. But but I just don't know if like mapping to real, like if it does map to real to real like values of good and bad. I don't know if we could ever make a system that does map perfectly, and so therefore this would kind of move me towards a conservatism position in error theory, where I think that we should strive to make a moral system that does map as closely as possible, which then I probably would have to change from my Rawlsian position from just considering humans as for moral consideration to probably also considering other animals. But I just don't see it yet. I don't think that there's been a good enough argument that I've read for like a conservatism position.
Okay, so I guess I hate to like bring it back to this, but this idea of suffering, right? So if we get back to what we know, right? You don't know if you're living in a simulation. You don't know if you're a butterfly hallucinating that it's a human, but what you do know is that you have thoughts. And so, right, I think therefore I am. Like, you agree with that statement, right?
Yes, yeah, I believe in Descartes' believe in the defeater for Descartes' demon, yeah.
Okay, so, and from there, you do prescribe that because there are, like, other humans, for instance, who look like you and seem to talk like you, that it seems reasonable to say that they are probably also, like, thinking agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when we talk about things like suffering, then there are values to suffering that you could put on yourself, right? Like you have some kind of value that you place on, for instance, like your limbs, right? Like you would pay a certain amount of money to keep your limbs. You would pay a certain amount of money to go and seek out healthcare, to like keep yourself alive, that sort of thing, right?
I genuinely think that money is that value might be infinite for like anything, right?
I don't think so. Maybe not necessarily. So you value, I guess an easier way to say this is you value your own well-being, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so because you value your own well-being, we also know that other humans value their well-being. And so this is kind of the point where we start to build that framework for moral consideration of other people. Do you think that all people value their own well-being the same, though?
I would probably say that if you choose to go down this path, you probably have to assume that all humans do, right? Like you have to. Even if you have evidence to the contrary, you have to kind of assume that, because then otherwise your system would have very, very different rules for every single, like I guess your granularity for your system would have to be very, very, very specific, right?
I don't I don't know. So we would have to see like where this we would have to like follow that line of thinking and then see where it ended in order for me to come up with like a final answer to that. Because what it seems like to me is like you could value your like maybe you're a pianist, right? So maybe you value your fingers more than somebody else because like it's like you use your fingers to make a living, or like using your fingers to play the piano brings you joy, right? And then I would say for me, like, well, I also value my fingers, but I don't value my fingers quite as much as you do. And then whenever we throw in a like a moral dilemma, right? Like somebody is going to cut off, like, should somebody cut off your fingers for inherently like no reason, or let's say that somebody has to decide, right? Like they're either going to cut off your fingers being somebody who plays the piano, or they're going to cut off mine being just like a regular dude who doesn't really do anything with his fingers outside of normal things. Like whose fingers should we cut off if I have to decide? And it seems as though we can morally like answer this question. Like it seems as though it's actually, even though we both place value on our fingers, that value actually is different despite being like probably pretty high. And it seems as though like the morally correct thing to do would to be like cut off my fingers, because it doesn't have as much value in my life as what your fingers have in yours. And this might sound arbitrary because maybe some people, for no reason, like really value their fingers. Maybe they just really like looking at them. But I think that we can still look at things objectively and be like, well, like if you lose your fingers, you lose like your way of making money, which has other like downstream effects. Whereas if this person who values their fingers more than you, even though you rely on your fingers to like pay your rent and all that, we could just determine that it's the total net amount of bad that is put into the universe is worse off if we cut off your fingers. Like your fingers are the ones that we should keep no matter who else we like add to this situation. Is that kind of...
Yeah, so I would state that this kind of presupposes quite a bit, and it's fine. I think that's like for most people or most things, this is even probably how I would probably come to a similar conclusion with my system. But the problem is that we're presupposing that like that we know 100% that you know, after we cut these people, like in the extreme example, right? Like we're presupposing some things that are very, very rational to presuppose. Like we're presupposing that after we cut off this guy's fingers that they're going to live, right? Which is something we would probably rationally do. And what I would say is that these rationalities here are derived from something outside of morals, and that like all of these rationalities that you've created are outside of morals, that we're going from a real world back to morals rather than morals forward. That these aren't emerging from this kind of these real values, that we're kind of actually deducing them from real world pragmatic effects rather than like a ethical framework.
Well, I would say that this rationalizing that we're doing, right? It's reasoning, right? So I would say that these things are derived from logic, and it seems like logic is the best way to actually think about things in the world. And we use logic to determine like the validity of philosophy. So I would say that these two things go hand in hand, and they're just as meaningful as the other. So it seems as though this is a reasonable like way to look at things, and
yeah.
I feel
So
like in my moral system.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, do you accept like that there's going to be a bit of circularity here? There's going to be at a point which you are going to say that like suffering is definitionally defined by the fact that it is suffering rather than like something else. Like that may not be suffering, but there's going to be a point at which you are going to be circularly defining something that I mean, like every system does. But I think that there is a point at which you're going to, if you're basing it off logic, then you're 100% going to hit Gödel's incompleteness theorem. You're going to find an axiom that you can't. You're just going to presuppose subjectively.
I don't know what that presupposition would be because, I don't know what that axiom would be because when we talk about suffering, again, there are ways to like actually measure suffering. So the easiest way would be to measure pain, and then things outside of pain we can use. Again, we can use the frameworks of logic to kind of determine what other forms of suffering are. So we know that people suffer mentally, which isn't like a mental suffering can very much manifest itself in physical ways, but inherently I would say that like being angry is probably a form of suffering. But again, like in order to determine that, we would just have to kind of think about it logically, or like how you brought up earlier, somebody who can't feel pain, it just seems to be it seems to logically follow that if your leg is broken and you can't like climb stairs, for instance, but you work in a building where you have to climb stairs all the time, even though you can't feel the pain, like it's probably still some form of suffering, to live, a period of time with a broken leg. So I would say that suffering has a definition, but I don't think suffering, I don't see it demonstrated how suffering could be circular. Like we have a definition for it, or we could form one that we agree on, I guess. Or maybe we couldn't, I don't know. But I don't see where it becomes circular.
So like again,
see you, Maria. Thanks for being in.
If you had actions that were committed in a vacuum, right? So like again, that person with no pain, that person that could feel no pain in a vacuum, right? So moving outside, so unless you believe that like morals are emergent from the environment, right, that the person is in, which is like a weird position that I don't know. I don't know too much about this, so I know there is some literature on it, but I have not read it. So like the idea that what action would be moral in the vacuum world versus the real world would be completely different, right? So in the vacuum world, breaking that person's leg who doesn't feel pain might be morally neutral, while in the real world it might be morally negative, right? Because you're inhibiting that actor's ability to do things.
Yeah, to like function normally. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So again, I think the
but I don't
arbitrary
think
distinction here is that like
I don't think morals have to be consistent though, or I don't think morals have to stay the same. I do think that morals are relative in most instances.
Mm-hmm.
So I would view moral relativism kind of as I would view moral relativism kind of as the answer to this. So it seems to me, even if somebody's living in a vacuum, like it's probably still better not to break their leg. But for the sake of the hypothetical, I could grant you that maybe in some situations it would be morally neutral to where it really doesn't matter either way. But even so, I don't see I really don't see how that's wrong, right? Or how that invalidates kind of like the framework that I've built, because I'm not saying that moral decisions always have to be the same, because what we've done is we've actually like changed the situation of the moral question we're asking. Like we're not asking whether or not breaking somebody's leg is a bad thing to do, or at least that's not the question I'm asking. What I'm asking is like, is breaking a person's leg, like maybe I am making the argument from environment, because that's what it seems like is breaking this person's leg under these given circumstances that they're in like morally okay.
Yeah. And again, I'm not super well read on this stuff, but I believe there is a way to think about this. And in the short term, I would actually say that you can't invalidate anybody's. So in general, I would probably say you can't invalidate almost anybody's moral system, because these moral systems are fiction. All I can do is try and impose my moral system onto you, because I think it is a better one. I guess that in itself is some kind of validity, or some kind of measure of validity, but I don't know if that is. I don't know how I could.
I wouldn't say wrong, but I
Sorry,
would
go.
say again, like using rules of logic, I think that we could weigh the outcomes of one moral system versus another and be like, hey, like I think we can objectively say that some moral systems are better than other, given like the outcomes that they produce. So for instance, I could have a moral system that that says, you know, it's okay to like murder certain ethnic groups, but just I think just so I think that there are very real world consequences to that, right? So maybe for instance, you by murdering an ethnic group, you like lose access to a workforce that you would have otherwise had. Like maybe maybe this ethnic group is like they're the only people who know how to like mine coal or something, which is something that we need, and so now there's some kind of net harm imposed on society as a whole. So it just seems as though the moral framework that would preserve, you know, ethnic groups altogether would probably be the better one. So maybe no moral framework is inherently bad, but again, like my moral system would state, it seems as though some systems and some decisions are better than others. That doesn't necessarily mean that one decision is bad, but we can determine what has a better outcome.
Yeah, so I would say that this moves beyond the realm of meta ethics. Like we're moving past the decision of like how do we know if not whether or not ethics are real or morals are real, and we're going to be talking about actually like the real world impact of these normative claims, right? So this is actually where I care a lot more about philosophy. This is actually, I would tend to agree with you that we want outcomes that affect people in a way that generally brings the least amount of harm or whatever you want to say. I measure it as in the most amount of I guess like some form of internal happiness, right? We want to maximize everybody's ability to have this like internal happiness factor.
Yeah, sure thing.
At a maximum. I don't come from a place of like minimizing suffering. I come from a place of maximizing happiness. I don't really think that like minimizing suffering is like the most beneficial thing.
Wouldn't those two kind of like go?
Not always.
Hand in hand?
So if you only care about minimizing suffering, right? You can come into like the idea. So this is kind of like a real world example, but like BDSM, right? I guess there are some kinks where you're implying pain, right? Some kind of some value of suffering that you've done to get some benefit, some happiness. Unless you like have you're gonna have to do some kind of like real utilitarian calculus of some type to figure that out. So if you only care about suffering, then that's what you do. But if you care about maximizing happiness, you can kind of say that like the suffering doesn't matter as much as long as maximizing happiness is important. Or you could do some kind of, you know, real utilitarian calculus of some type.
Do you mind giving me like 2 seconds to think about that for a second?
No problem. Yeah.
Okay, let's just say I adopted that, right? Let's say instead of the goal being to minimize suffering, it is to increase happiness. Don't I still end up in the same exact situation in my moral framework if that is true? Like, doesn't my...
You could. There are some very, very specific situations where you won't, but I mean, for like 99.9% of cases, you would, yeah.
Can you think off the top of your head like any of those very specific cases?
So I gave one of like the BDSM kind of example. So like, do you think that like it's a moral bad or a moral negative that like people enact harm on other people for pleasure?
No, for that, because again, like, so we use pain as like an easy method of measuring suffering, but obviously in these scenarios, Like it would probably in this scenario specifically, it would probably make more sense to be like to explain the moral system as being like, yeah, we just want people to like be happy, right? But the whole statement like less suffering is better than more suffering is really just like a reductionist statement of like my moral system to make it easy to understand. So to me, you saying that we
so
should
there's some
increase
kind of
happiness is basically the same thing to me. So,
okay. Sure.
Yeah,
Sure,
so
sure.
happiness
So I can,
can
within your framework, yeah.
yeah, so like happiness can definitely outweigh like physical suffering, right? So happiness, joy, all that kind of thing, like it can be very fulfilling to experience pain, and BDSM is like a really good example of that, right? So in this scenario, right, we know that there's not going to be like long-term negative effects. Maybe you have some bruises or whatever, but overall, like the joy, the happiness, like the meaning that this brings to your life, like the value that it brings to your life outweighs like the suffering that you feel. So this is a really, to me, this seems like it doesn't seem like a moral dilemma at all. Like it's still like a really easy question to answer.
So yeah, I guess I must have misunderstood your framework a little bit. So with the more defined like definition of suffering, I think that there would be no difference in your system.
Okay.
100%.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I'm just saying that there are some systems in which they could be different, but yeah.
Yeah, probably. I guess I just don't see. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, and maybe it's my fault for explaining it worse. If there's ever anything you hear me explain that you think I could word better, like please let me.
No,
let me know.
yeah. There's some kind of like utilitarian calculus that you're doing to explain suffering that's not just beyond like so like I think that utility is kind of like suffering plus good. Right, so like like happiness minus suffering or whatever, right? And so we have some like utility that we're trying to maximize. This is why I say like internal utility, because like to me that internal utility, internal like motivation or whatever is the kind of utility that we're trying to maximize, rather than like using these like defined terms of like suffering or happiness.
Yeah, but, and if it helps explain my position at all, like, and there's another philosophy that says this, but. God, I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, like ultimately to me, the most moral, like from an outside perspective, right? Like if you could flip a switch that gets rid of everything that's conscious, to me, that would probably be like the most moral decision to make, because then you eliminate all forms of suffering. Now, some people would disagree with this and be like, well, in a universe where like happiness, however, to whatever degree that you value happiness outweighs suffering, like that might be like the better universe to live in. Like there might be a valid point there, but again, going extremely reductionist, it just seems like if we were to eliminate all forms of suffering altogether, even if that means getting rid of everything that can experience suffering and happiness, that would be like the best outcome. Again, if I had that decision to make, I probably wouldn't make it, because I don't think anybody should be thrown into a position like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's where like the means to the end part of my philosophy kind of comes up.
Yeah, so I guess in my way of maximizing this utility, the moral decision would actually be to not eliminate all consciousness, right? Because you actually don't have a way to have that to maximize. It'll always be zero, right? And so therefore your maximum is better in the long run if you keep consciousness going, even if there is some suffering. So your potential for maximization is always going to be higher with the consciousness existence. So, and
I would be willing to move on that position. That's just where I currently stand, and I need to like further hone in on some gaps in my own thinking. So somebody brought up earlier, and this is actually what I was interested in having you criticize my system specifically, and to try to figure out a way to fill this gap or get me to just move on from my moral framework altogether, because unfortunately, my moral framework seems to validate this idea of like a means to an end, right? So like the trolley car problem, or to get more specific in a way that is probably more valuable to this conversation, like should we kill one person and like harvest their organs to save like 5 lives, right? because it seems like this is where we would end up in decision making if we're like, okay, well, obviously saving 5 lives is probably better than, you know, just leaving one person alive. So when I get here, this is where I struggle, because obviously I don't want to live in a society that's like that. Do you feel like there's any answers to this, or do you feel like this is a valid criticism of like, but it seems like both of our frameworks are actually pretty similar, but
Yeah, so the answer to this would probably be some kind of incorporating some kind of threshold into your system, right? So you could say that, like, if the number of if the death is let me think about how I want to word this.
And by the way, for anybody who stuck around or has joined, I really appreciate
So you could say
having
that,
you guys.
Yeah, you could have some kind of threshold on, I guess, the number of people, which is one way of having a threshold, or you could have a threshold and just saying that, like, there's a certain limit at which you would say that, like, this system is no longer useful, or the number of people has to increase over time or whatever, right? So maybe the first time killing one person for 2 people might be fine, but then the next time you do it, it has to be more, it has to be more, it has to be more. But this, like, sliding scale threshold. Sorry. And then, but I don't know if there's, like, a perfect defeater for this. This kind of, like, you're just going to end up with a world that, like, everybody's, like, people are just killing people for other people to, like, get their organs, right? This is kind of the place that you're afraid of getting to.
Yeah. And the way that I've been working around this lately, or the way that I've been trying to think myself out of this, is basically, like, maybe we can also put a value on society and, like, the kind of society that we want to live in, right? So even if it seems as though the framework for the morality falls apart at, like, that individual level, if we take into account like, if we just value society as it is, and we understand that we don't want to live in a society that's like that, even if we can't determine exactly, like, how bad that society is, we just know that that's not really an outcome we want. Therefore we can just make an adjustment there. It seems like we can do that and still, like, maintain the integrity of our moral framework. But again, I don't necessarily know if we can, and this is where I was interested in having, like, other people push back.
So I think in general you probably could. This is kind of like the idea of, like, a rule utilitarian approach of things, right? So you're making a rule that says, like, we ought not have a society in which people are killing each other to save other people's lives, but in the case where there is no other option, killing one person for 2 other people is beneficial, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't really like the idea of rule utilitarianism, but it, again, if we measure the outcome that a moral system produces as the thing that gives that moral system value, then it seems like this is a pretty valid way of looking at things.
Yeah, so again, this would either be, like, threshold utilitarianism or, like, rule utilitarianism, where you're just saying that the threshold for you to enact this, like, utility is, like, so high that this utility rule that you're not, like, specifying when you're going to use it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
you'll
exactly.
just know when to use it.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I think you can still stay consistent with this kind of, like, framework.
Okay. Well, that was pretty much, yeah. I mean, that's been the big pushback on my own moral system that I've given myself. So I think I've talked to you about this. Like, I'm working on a master document of like all of my positions, which eventually I'll put like my belief system into that and stuff too. But I realized as I was going through my positions, like my positions are informed by my philosophy, and so this specific like gap was pretty irritating to me because it seemed as though eventually I was going to run into some kind of position where I needed to have an answer to this question in order to be able to come up with like an actual decision on where I stood on some other issue. So I think I'm satisfied enough to like continue on with creating my positions with this framework. And then any kind of movement to my positions that I do in the future will either be based off of, criticism of my moral framework that I decide to move on, which inherently might change all of my positions, or just evidence that it, affects that one issue in and of itself.
Yeah, and I would say that one of the pitfalls of this kind of building up from morals forward is that sometimes when we want pragmatic decision making in like policy, which is where I'm guessing you're going to go with this, right? So like you want to look at like political policy, we can just ignore our moral system and say this is what we want as our benefit, and how do we maximize this in this case without being inconsistent morally, because you're just ignoring it for now. This is like the idea of like an abolitionist in error theory. What they would say is like, why even worry about the morals? You have like idea of like what you want in a pragmatic sense. You know how to do this in the real world. You can measure this in the real world. Why do we even worry about morals?
So I actually feel like I have an answer to this question, and I think the reason for this is because I see that my moral system, right, is like the whole idea of it is creating, like, the reason why I use the system is because it seems like it's a system that creates the best outcomes. Therefore, if it is a system for decision making that creates the best outcomes, I should be able to apply it to questions about certain issues, both current and past. And future, and that it should provide pretty reliable answers to those questions without me having to be like, well, this is just what I want the world to look like. Like, to me, these two things go hand in hand, whereas maybe with other people's moral systems, what they want and how their moral system answers a specific question may actually differ. And for me, again, I would say that's probably because their moral system isn't as, like, the framework for their moral system isn't as good or as thought out as it could be. Right, like some people justify things in their moral system for no reason. I'm trying to lay a very fundamental groundwork for reasoning, so as close to like an E equals MC squared for morality as I can get, which again seems to be more suffering or less suffering better than more suffering is like essentially how I would write that out.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That's like a fine place to start and like a good direction to go through. If you want to go this route, there are other meta-ethical positions that you could take, but obviously that's like something you might not want to read on in your own time. That maybe or talk to somebody who's a little bit better versed in meta-ethics than I am. I think that like I have an okay grasp on meta-ethics, but there are definitely people who are much better. Yeah, and again, I think it's pretty consistent, and I think you're like on a good track if this is the way you want to go. So,
well, again, whenever
blessing, I guess.
Oh god, whenever we say like way that I want to go, again, I want to make sure that whatever belief systems I hold are like logically consistent. That's what I want, right? So I didn't want some kind of framework that fell apart at the seams whenever you look at like very like specific things. So again, the means to the end question seemed to be a valid criticism against utilitarianism. It seems as though creating some kind of rules, or maybe coming up with a better definition of like what value or suffering or happiness actually is, might kind of get out of that. But if there is like a better system, a better way to think about the world, or a way that is more true, I guess, then I would rather like hold that moral position. Like, I'm totally willing to scrap this at any point I'm shown that like there's a better way of thinking about things.
Yeah, and this is where I kind of agree with Infrared, out of everybody, but where he says like this obsession with like moral consistency like distracts people from like the real world effects of like what they're prescribing. I think that like it's good to have moral consistency, but like don't be too obsessed with it when you're trying to figure out your positions. You know, that can come later. You can always like tweak, like create some baseline positions, and then like, which you have. I mean, I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying that like, sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound like you don't. But
Oh no, you're good. I didn't take it that way at all.
The idea would be like don't get so entangled in the details, because like we do have like at the end of the day you're making these positions for a pragmatic reason, for a real world reason, for like something that influences the real world, and not just this like hypothetical like thought experiment world that you've constructed in your head, which is important to realize when
Yeah, I've tried
Yeah.
to move. I've tried to move like pretty far away from hypotheticals. They seem to really only be useful in philosophical discussions. And normally, whenever I hear hypotheticals come up in political discussions, typically it's either to work out like a point that can only be solved through philosophy, or to demonstrate like the failure of logic in one other person's thinking. So yeah, I used to go too hard into hypotheticals and spend way too much time like thinking about things that would never actually happen in the real world. And yeah, I've done pretty good over the last 2 years specifically of getting away from that. So
Yeah, I just sorry, my brain just remembered when I was having a conversation on primes and I used the word ought, and someone was like, "Can we not have a philosophical conversation?" I was like, "You know, ought is just a future, like a different tensing of should." I was like, this is not a philosophical
ought versus
conversation. I'm not trying
is.
to. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, people get too hung up
And
on some things.
on like verbiage, but yeah, so I would just say that like it seems like you're I don't want to sound like an expert, because I'm not. I don't think that that I'm that well studied. The praise is very much appreciated, but there are people that are much more studied than I am in philosophy. But
Yeah,
I
and you
think
probably
from our
have to be a
discussion,
way
it seems like-
bigger. You probably have to have like a way bigger audience in order to actually have conversations with those people typically. So
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think, I don't know if you want to reach out to him, Kyo-san. He seems pretty well read on this stuff. He's also an error theorist. I don't know what school of error theory he believes in. I don't know if he's a
By
fictionalist or
2016,
conservative.
the rapid rise
conservatist.
of student debt led
So you
national
could talk to him.
political
He seems
figures
pretty
not
well read
only
on,
to
like,
consider
ethical
how
stuff, so maybe you
student
can have
debt
a
was
conversation
affecting
with him. I don't know how hard it is to get in contact with him, but he seems pretty chill. I've had I've just messaged him on his thing. His Kyosho AU is his Twitch.
yeah, I think
He's
I'd be.
been on.
I think I need to probably read up more on some of like the at some point I just need to read up more on utilitarianism, I guess, from people who have thought about it way deeper than I have.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, go ahead.
A good starting place is the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. I don't know if you've seen this before. Plato.stanford.edu.
I have not.
You could just. This is like a really good thing. You just search things up on here. This is like where I learn a lot of my stuff. I think it's a little bit better than Wikipedia.
Yeah, if you can send it to my Discord, that'd be awesome.
I did put it in your Discord. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, you get like Wikipedia is not bad. Also, look at the sources that Wikipedia is citing. That's not bad. I like the SCP because it will like talk about like certain writers or certain philosophers, and like you can read up that stuff and you can look that stuff up, which is more important than like just reading these summaries, I think. Personally.
Yeah.
But.
Oh man, were you gonna hop onto Prime's open panel tonight?
I have no idea what they're talking about. I think they're talking about
Me neither. Maybe I'll open that up and
Biden and Trump.
I'm going to
No,
take a
cut
look.
sleeve is still on there.
Oh boy.
What's your opinion about cut sleeve?
Give me 1 second. I need to see his face real quick. I know that I know this person, and I know that as soon as I see their face, pretty much everything that they've said in any interaction I've had with them is going to come right back to me. Okay, get out of here. Let's see. Where is...
A lot of people were investigating Trump's people, but who was Trump investigating?
Oh, that's right. Okay,
or-
Cut Sleeve is the young kid, right?
Yeah, he's like 16, yeah.
So my
You got-
first interaction with him was yesterday, I believe. Talking about immigration. And honestly, I wish I would have hopped out of that conversation way sooner. But that was the first time. Actually, yesterday was the first time where I was on a panel with Vivian and talked more than Vivian. So it was wonderful. As far as Cut Sleeve, it seems like he's just a big Destiny fan and has like a lot of right-wing talking points. But I actually kind of like him. It seems like he's probably willing to. It seems like he's intellectually honest. At his core, and he's just young and grew up. It seems like he grew up with a conservative framework, So I have high hopes for that kid.
Yeah, that was basically like I think he's just. I know this is kind of people like someone said that it was a derogatory way to say it, but like yeah, he's just very young, which.
Even if it's
whatever.
derogatory, I mean, if it's true, like I don't know. I feel like that's a factual statement,
Yeah. I'm probably not going to go on Prime, so probably just going to go lay down, get some sleep.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Oh, I don't know if I want to talk about Trump.
Is it open yet? Or I guess I'd have to go look at the Discord. You said no?
Yeah, the panel's open. There's no closed panel tonight.
Oh, jeez. Guess I could have hopped in way earlier then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm probably gonna go hop in there, I guess. So.
All right. Well, I'll be watching from my phone, so give him hell.
All right. Have fun getting some sleep.
Yeah, I'll try.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Well, that was a fun conversation with Sam. Yeah, for me it was really important that I eventually have that. So let's take a look here real quick.
What? What?
What?
What?
What?
What? What do you mean?
What are you doing, bud? How are you?
Pretty good.
Situation.
Yeah?
I've heard
Yeah,
a
dude.
little bit about
Just running
James
around,
Mattis.
getting got.
You would have to
Awesome.
inform me some more.
No, I'm just
Like
doing
I've
pretty
heard,
good.
like he's
I saw my boss
he's
today,
a secretary guy,
and
right?
because I was returning my key.
Yep.
He was the
So,
Secretary of Defense.
I was returning my
Yeah,
keys for the
yeah,
lab,
I
and then
heard
my
a
classroom,
little bit
anyways.
about that
It's
guy,
like, oh,
and-
hey, glad I ran into you.
Yeah,
I
I
was
guess
like,
like,
hey.
what you like the
He was
broad
like,
definition of what you said.
you know
like,
that
is
job
like-
you were supposed to get over the summer?
Oh,
He
no,
said
no, wait,
yes.
Wait, what you said?
He
what
said,
you said
well, the
was-
guy,
It's fine. You don't have
he
a
is
opinion. It's
unavailable.
just, you don't know
You
the guy.
want it?
so-
And I
Let's
said,
move on.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
Yes.
just trying to see if you knew who he was.
All right, we're moving on.
So I got the
We're
job.
done.
Nice.
So
I
look,
don't
I
know.
hope
I can,
we gave you some
I can
things to
leave.
think
I can,
about.
that's cool. It's fine.
Cut
Oh
sleeve.
yeah? Oh yeah, you can just
There's
you
that
can leave?
bill that I was talking to you previously about.
You think you can just
looking it
leave?
up. HR
What in the
HR
world
44.
happened? Those were like
Um,
moving before.
It's
Oh man.
drain the
May
swamp
have-
about the bill. As part
may
of
have
President Trump's
totally run
campaign
this.
pledge to drain the swamp and lessen Washington's reliance
Oh,
on
boy.
revolving doors and special interests, he promised
you,
to ban his political
streaming? I
appointees
can leave.
from lobbying for 5 years or
I
6
am,
months
but you don't have to
for
leave.
anyone
no.
involved with this transition. However, a political investigation earlier this month sent shockwaves by
Something happened
revealing the
with my
extent to which that
overlay,
promise was
though.
broken, even within the
For now,
administration's
shit
first 100
isn't
days.
moving, even though it was moving
So,
before.
Here, read this.
Are you going to be
article.
playing any games tonight?
We can.
Where is it?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna,
gonna,
I'm gonna, I'm gonna DM it. Well, I'm gonna put it in Twitch chat. I'm gonna DM it to you. All right. So I'm gonna DM this to you, and then maybe come back to us at some other time. And
Let me.
1 second. Just send this quick DM. There you go.
I'm gonna stay in Discord, but I'm gonna
Alright,
keep it
so,
muted for a minute. Are you just
take
gonna
a look
hang
at
out?
that, and maybe you might
Yeah,
change your mind about a few
Okay.
things.
Cool. I'll hit you up in a little
yeah.
bit,
So thanks.
or I'll
Alright,
hop back
that
in
was a lot.
shortly. I'm not even gonna
That
leave. I'm
was a
just
lot.
gonna mute myself
But
for a
thank you,
second,
Custeve, again,
so I can
for
see where this
engaging with us,
where this panel is.
Because once again, there are a lot of people in chat talking.
I'm
to
gonna
you,
go join another
but
Discord though.
Even when you give me
Oh, okay.
opportunity to
I'll
step
I'll
up.
shoot you.
I'll
Yeah,
just-
I'll
I
leave.
appreciate
I'll
you
I'll
doing
leave
this.
this, and then whenever you
So-
see me back in, you can hop in.
Hello, everyone. If you've
just message me.
If you've,
All right,
if
love
you've
you.
been here, if you just joined this channel,
Yeah, love you too.
you've been enjoying this content, whatever this was. Do me a favor, hit that follow button, hit that notification bell, so you know
These
I'm going live. We do it 6 days a week.
overlays.
We don't do exactly the 6
Irritating.
days a week, but we do.
What in the world?
We have these conversations.
At what
6
point
days a week.
did it stop?
Usually on. Usually they're less circular, but that's fine. We have a conversation. The open walk
There
on
we
panels
go.
where audience members may
Whoa,
participate.
but
And so if you want to participate, we'd love to have you around. So please follow the channel. If you want to watch people do these things, then yes, follow the channel. We've got a lot of content for you. If you want to keep this content alive, right? Well, then help us out. We've only gotten a few donations today. See if we can get a bit more. $5 keeps this channel alive. $5. So sub to the channel. When you sub to the channel, you get ad-free viewing. Ad-free viewing. I forgot to run ads. Okay, I'm gonna run ads as soon as we're done here. So if you want to avoid those, I was too into this. So you want to avoid those upcoming ads, sub to the channel. Sub to it now. You get also our illustrious emotes. Right here, there'll be more emotes on the way. This is my mods.
Look
My
at those
mods haven't been telling.
transitions.
I've been
Crazy.
asked my mods what they want as emotes because I'm gonna make them into
Alright,
emotes.
I
But they
think
just
what
refuse to
I'll
tell me what they
do-
want. It's very annoying.
Just hide these guys.
And Leah, I haven't forgotten about you. Leah, I said I would make you into an emote, but you haven't told me yet. I haven't forgotten about that. Let me know what you want, Leah, and I'll have it made into an emote. It'll be great. So
Just ignore all of this,
So you get
y'all.
our ad-free viewing, you get our emotes, and you can sub to the channel for 1 month, and that's $5, or for 3 months and save 20%.
The whole
for 6 months and
thing,
save
the whole thing is
30%.
falling apart. We're
Great way to help the
experiencing
channel
technical
and
difficulties.
save money. You can, if you have your,
Overlays,
if you have
man.
Amazon Prime, then you also have a Twitch Prime /Prime Gaming. You can use that here on this channel. You get a free sub. A free
Here.
sub every month. Use it here. I think we're worth it.
Seems like a
It
pretty
gives you a
safe
whole
place to
lot of
keep-
content.
Now it all
every
moves together. What
week.
is
Every
going
week we're giving you this
on?
content. We haven't
Can
missed
I,
a day
like,
yet
shift?
so far in all
Is
these
that what it
months. Not a
is?
single day. And thank you, Wartalk, for previously helping out.
That-
yeah,
oh
you can
my
also donate
God.
bits. You can donate
Okay,
subs
now
like
we
Wartalk
figured it
did
out.
previously. No, I do care about your sub gifters. I don't know why you don't think I care
come
about your
back
sub
over
gifters, but
here.
Wartalk previously just donated 5 subs. That's a great way to support the channel. A lot of people donate subs, and we do appreciate that. Can we get more of those? Now's the time. We need more cat emotes. Essay. Okay, Essay, you are one of our big donators. So Essay,
Come on.
why don't you hit me up in Discord, right? Go into Discord and send me a message as to what you want. I'll make an emote for you. Like, I have like 20 fucking emote slots that are empty. So, Essay, if you want an emote, if you want your emote,
me down
because I'll make one for
here.
you,
Let's
to be a
expand that.
cat emote, then I'll do that. So just hit me up in my DMs and let me know exactly what you want, and we'll make it happen. So Leah, I'm waiting for you. Leah, we are waiting for you, so we can get more of these things. She's definitely doing that. All right, great. All right,
Whatever. That looks
so
good enough. I
if you're
think.
out there, if you're sitting out there, you want to support this channel, you want to keep this content coming, because like we're gonna give you more stuff. Tomorrow we'll have an all black everything panel. We'll have Joe Lewis there. Joe Lewis, who's sitting in chat, getting really freaking annoyed about the world. My man Joe Lewis. Yeah, he'll be joining us. We've got a great group of people. Essay, oh, thank you. That's so kind of you, Essay. Thank you for the 5 hot tier 1 gift subs. Yes, you can assist. You can help her out. We get two more donators, right? 2 more separate donors. We can start ourselves a hype train. We need 2 more people. 2 more people to help us out. And you know we love our hype trains. We love our hype trains here. And you all are sitting through them. They're great. You can see me shill I am at my most capitalistic when we go to those hype trains. Thank you OnlyFacts for gifting a hot tier 1 gift sub to the channel. Oh, thank you so much. See, now we need one more person. We start ourselves a hype train. One more person help out the channel. Can we make that happen? Because we need that help. This channel lives and dies on the backs of all of you, right? The individuals who are out there who appreciate what we're trying to do here with these conversations. Right, we're gonna have these long-form conversations like we're doing with Cut Sleeve, as we do with other people who show up here. Right, we have these long-form conversations only because
Set over to Prime, get this
like
hype
you
train
support.
going for him.
I'd have to be doing something else without people like you. There we go. Sammy B Baby. Thank
never
you
mind.
so much. Get another hot tier 1 gift sub to the channel. And OnlyFacts TV, you gifted another tier 1 gift sub. All right, and we got ourselves a hype train. How far we're already level 2. We already crushed level 1. Level 1 was easy. We don't have to worry about level 1. We're on level 2 hype train. All right, so now we're trying to get to a level 3 hype train. 4.5 minutes left on the clock. 4.5 minutes left on that clock. Can we make it happen? Can we make it happen, Andros? Do we have any more heroes? Heroes like Essay, who's been so kind. Essay gift 5. OnlyFacts, who just gift 2, and Sam B Baby, gifting 1. And anyone who got 1, thank you so much for being here. Yes, we need more help. So you can donate bits, or you can sub yourself if you.
Jeez, this hype train stuff.
You haven't been gifted a sub like
Oh, I'm not even.
so many others
What
here.
cha-
You
oh,
haven't gifted a sub
God.
sitting there. Well, now's the time. Jump
I'm
in.
on the wrong
The
channel.
one's
All
one.
right, hold on. Let's get out of here.
The all black everything tomorrow. Excuse me. On Saturday we'll have our prime time morale.
Jeez,
Our
already went up to a level
Primetime
4.
morale. All right, there we go. The monster strikes again. All right. All right. So let's back up for a second. OnlyFacts TV. And Corrupt Wanderer. Oh, thank you, Corrupt. Gifting a hot tier 1 gifts up to the channel. And then a local monster gifted 26. Just 26. Just drop that in there. Thank you, friend. Leah, yes, we are proud employees of Leah Incorporated. It's been so kind to
man.
support this channel so much, and she has crossed out of the threshold. She is at 1,501 and one.
I'm basically
Gift
just
subs,
creeping
to the
Prime's
channel
panel right
for
now,
lifetime.
seeing what the
And
topic of
some
conversation
almost
is
200
before I decide
for
whether or
just
not
this
I'm
month.
going to hop
And we're
in.
day
We just
8.
finished up
Amazing.
a conversation on
Beyond that,
philosophy
thank you so much.
with Sam the
Beyond
Human.
that, we have Chrism Steel,
The wonderful
who's,
Sam the
resubbing.
Human.
Okay, thank you so much. And hey, if you're just resubbing, that means a lot. It means a lot. This channel survives on those resubs too, right? If you're just continuing your sub, hey, you're a local hero to me, right? You make this channel happen. Okay, and Jai has gifted a tier sub to hot tier 1 gift sub to Cagnadian. Thank you so much. Sam the Human, hey Sam, who's usually a participant here, has gifted another sub to Conga Line. Oh, that's a pretty cool name. All right. All right. We are a single percentage away from level 5 hype train, just like 1% away. Maybe 100, 200 bits
All right.
might put us over the line. Just anyone got that much to the top? Get us a level 5 hype
Let's
train. We're
just
we
go.
have good
Let's
stuff.
continue
So
our
I'm not
sub.
even worried about the level 4 hype train because we're going to do that right now. I'm already talking about completing level 5 hype train because this is going to be completed. Someone's going to help us out there. All right, so that's going to be done. So can we actually complete that level 5 hype train? Can we do it? Right? We've had
There it
kind
is.
individuals like
There
Leah,
it is.
like Essay, right? 2 of our very kind supporters. Our local queens who help the channel, and we have others like Sam the Human, like Jai. Oh, thank you all, thanks Stevie for gifting another hot tier 1 gift sub. All right, see, like I said, I'm not even worried about that level 4 hype train. We're on level 5. We're on the last stage, guys. This is going so fast. Thank you, Pods. Okay, who's been very active in chat here, and now gifting 5 hot tier 1 gift subs to the channel. Thank you so much. You know, just so you guys know, maybe you don't know, even though I do mention it, I actually hire people to help me out, right? So currently I'm paying 3 individuals to help. I'm paying 1 person as editor. You all know who he is, Eagle Eye Valor, excuse me, who comes into the channel every so often, one of my mods. He's also an editor for our YouTube, right? So we're growing that platform. That
We're
costs
going all
money.
the way to level 5
It
hype
costs
train today.
A lot of money. So we're paying him. We're also paying 2 people to help produce, and one of those people also makes our thumbnails for our YouTube, right? So we're paying people to help out the channel to make this happen, because this is a lot to do by yourself, let me tell you. So when you guys donate, like Sam B Baby just did now, another 5 hot tier 1 gift subs to the channel. When you do that, you're keeping this alive. Like you're allowing me to pay them so I can give you more content, right? So I can bring more channel attention to the
We
channel.
hopped in at the
And when
wrong
bring
time, I
more
think.
attention to the channel, of course. That means we'll get more people, right? So people were telling me in chat how they found me in various ways. Well, it's because of you all keeping this channel alive that I can reach out to other individuals, right? Go out to and grab a Vosh, grab a Destiny, grab whoever, right? Grab these big individuals, bring them in, bring attention, and then have more interesting people show up here. So all of you are making that happen. Okay, going back to this. Our local monsters struck again. Thank you, Leah, for 5,000 bits. Holy crap. And then Essay with another 3,000 bits. Amazing. Then Anonymous Cheer threw in another 100 bits just because they wanted to. Hey, we have 2.5 minutes left on the hype train, right? We've already completed. We've already crushed it. But, since these amazing individuals already did all the heavy lifting for you, why don't you just throw a few bits in the pot right now, right? Get those exclusive hype train emotes, right? Since all the heavy lifting's already been done. We've already completed it. But you can still grab those emotes. They've done it for you. So if you want to get those level 5 emotes, now's the time. Jump on in. Just throw a few bits in the pot. That'll help us out. But thank you. Thank you so much. This was faster than I thought it would be. But thank you. Thank you, those kind of individuals. And yes, Essay, Leah, let me know. What do you want? I'm not going to keep bothering you guys about this. I want to know what you guys want. I'll create some emotes for you guys. You certainly deserve it. You're keeping this channel alive. And no, that's not the best emote. I'm ashamed of those emotes. Stop putting those emotes in my fucking chat. Jai, I see you. Fucking hell. But yeah, thank you so much. When this hype train is completed, I'll thank my top donators. I'll make sure to do that because I got to give them shine. But even if you're a tiny donator, even if you're gifting just 100 bits, like the Anonymous Cheerer, right? Even you're gifting 1 sub, even if you're just continuing your sub, hey, means a lot, right? This channel survives because of you all, right? I get to do this a bit longer because of you all. The moment you guys stop is the
Oh,
moment
we have
the
another
channel
pink
stops,
background,
so, you know,
man.
I'll have to do something else. I have to maybe focus more on IT, you know, which is fine because you know I like that. It's God damn it, people, stop putting that in my chat. Fucking hell. But this lives and dies because of you. So Corrupt Wanderer, thank you for another 100 bits. That lives or dies with people like you being so kind. It's helping out. So even a little bit that you can throw in there, that keeps this channel up and running. So while we're waiting for that timer to run down, I'm going to introduce our newest guest here. His name is Kyo-san. Kyo-san, thank you for joining us. We love you.
Oh, I appreciate that, buddy. I thought I'd sneak in without you noticing, you know, like a naughty child trying to come in at the end of a long night.
No, not at all, buddy. Always happy to have you around. Kyo-san, one of our all-stars. Kyo-san, a former stream queen.
Former. I'm so mad. Hans, that backstabbing son of a bitch.
He tossed you out.
We're gonna have to open up split cam is what we're gonna do. Let's hop into this, you guys.
But hopefully we'll have Kyo-san back again. For future Primetime Morale, and that's where we crown our stream queens on our Primetime Morale. Yes, he's a former winner of that show. It was a lot of fun. Last time was
Stop paying former. This is bullshit. That's rigged. This is actually fake election.
See, that's the corruption, Cut Sleeve. The corruption happens on the Primetime Morale. All right, he's already found it. We've already figured this out. So 1 second, I'm going to